Live from Burbank, the media capital of the world.
To participate in the general public comment period, please call now at 818-238-3335. For any scheduled public hearings, please call when prompted to speak if you want the comment to be part of the record. Speaking times will be determined by the total number of public comment cards and callers in the queue at the start of each public comment period. For 1 to 20 total speakers, each speaker will receive up to 3 minutes. For 21 to 39 total speakers, each speaker will receive up to 2 minutes. And for 40 plus total speakers, each speaker will receive up to 1 minute. No additional comment cards or calls will be accepted once the public comment period begins.
Interpreters are available for assistance with in-person public comment. Please connect with them if you are in need of services. Hay servicios de interpretación disponibles para asistir con los comentarios públicos en persona. Por favor, habla con un intérprete si necesita estos servicios.
Եթե տեղում մեկնաբանություն եք անում թարգմանիչի կարիք ունեք, միացեք թարգմանչի հետ օգնության համար։
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a regular meeting of the Burbank City Council on June 24th, 2025. Please join me in a moment of reflection. This moment is intended to begin our meeting with a positive and collective support for our beloved community. The City Council welcomes everyone joining us this evening. We encourage you to take a moment to reflect on our community and the work we will be doing tonight. Although each one of us has our own unique reasons for being here, we are united in our passion for our wonderful city. As we pause, let us consider our individual contributions and what they mean to those around us. Let us find solace in knowing that by working together with a shared spirit of community and partnership, we will always act responsibly for the betterment of Burbank. Thank you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Madam City Clerk.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm terrific. How are you?
I am still doing great.
Good.
Couldn't be better.
Perfect.
All right. Please conduct the roll.
Councilmember Anthony?
Present.
Councilmember Mullins?
Here.
Councilmember Rosati?
I am here.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Here.
And Mayor Perez.
I'm here.
Thank you.
All right, there will be 3 periods of public comment tonight. Members of the public may comment in person or by telephone during the general public comment period and must submit cards or call before the general comment period begins. The first public comment period is for general comment on any matter concerning city business and or any agenda item. If you're here in person and wish to speak, you should have submitted or submit very quickly a yellow public comment card to our wonderful city clerk. And if you'd like to participate in the general comment over the phone, please call now at 818-238-3335. Callers will be placed in a queue until the general public comment period begins, at which time no additional calls will be taken. You will see me take many pauses to breathe because my lungs are somewhere in my throat now. I'm 9 months pregnant. Interpreters are also available for assistance with public comment, and we have Spanish and Armenian interpreters right here in the front row. If anybody needs them, please reach out to them before the public comment period. If you need them, and if nobody has requested their service before public comment begins, I will let them go home and enjoy the rest of their evening. All right. Tonight, we would like to take a moment to honor the life and legacy of Donald Don Robert Brown, a dedicated public servant who dedicated more than 6 decades of his life to the city of Burbank. Don was born in 1936 in New York and moved to Burbank in 1945. He graduated from Burbank High and later earned his teaching credentials from USC while working full-time and raising 4 children. Don began his career with the city in 1956 and joined the Burbank Police Department in 1960, rising through the ranks to lieutenant. He served in many vital roles, from narcotics to robbery, homicide, but his favorite was serving in the Traffic Bureau as part of the motor squad. After 45 years of service to the city, Don retired in 2001. But he continued his commitment to public service as a commissioner with the Burbank-Glendale-Pasadena Airport Authority, a position he held until 2024. His contributions extended beyond public safety, as he held leadership roles in numerous civic organizations and was especially proud of his involvement with the Boys and Girls Club of Burbank. Don passed away peacefully on June 8, 2025, surrounded by his loving family, his beloved dog Daisy, and he leaves behind 4 children, 5 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren, as well as a legacy of dedication, service, and absolute love for his community. We are honored tonight to be joined by several members of Don's family, including his 4 adult children, Julie Brown, Michael Brown, Cherilyn Brown, Walker, and Cameron Brown, as well as some of his grandchildren. His contributions have left a lasting impact, and he will be deeply missed and absolutely fondly remembered by our city. Thank you to Don. And thank you to the family for joining us. We hope you know we really appreciate your father and your grandfather and all that he did for the city. Thank you for sharing him with us. We have 3 announcements this evening.
The following are announcements for June 24th, 2025. The City of Burbank's Economic Development Team will be hosting the next Burbank Startup Pitch Fest event on Thursday, June 26th at Woodbury University Fletcher Jones Auditorium from 5:30 to 8 p.m. This event is an opportunity for local entrepreneurs to take the stage and pitch their startups live in front of a panel of expert judges. Application details and registration details can be found on the Economic Development website, econdevburbank.com/entrepreneurs, or by reaching out to econdev@burbankca.gov. Did you know BWP conducts over 25,000 water quality tests each year to ensure Burbank's water supply is safe? You can learn more from BWP's annual water quality report, which has been delivered by mail to all Burbank residents. This report provides important information about the quality of Burbank's drinking water and outlines the rigorous treatment and monitoring processes that ensure our water meets or exceeds all state and federal safety standards. A digital version of this report can be found on burbankwaterandpower.com or by scanning the QR code. Join us for a summer of community fun under the stars. The City of Burbank Parks and Recreation Department is thrilled to announce the Starlight on Tour series, bringing families and friends together for unforgettable evenings of live music and outdoor movies in our beautiful parks. The series kicks off on June 28th with a showing of The Wild Robot at Johnny Carson Park. Plus, don't miss our special 4th of July celebration featuring a brand new drone show and much more. For more information, visit starlightbowl.com or call 818-238-5397. We'll see you in the parks. This concludes the announcements for this evening.
Alrighty, we have one presentation this evening. It's a presentation of a certificate of recognition for the Friends of the Burbank Public Library's 45th anniversary. At this time, I'd like to invite the amazing Miss Louise Pazak, Friends of the Burbank Public Library President, to please join me at the podium. Now, for 45 years, the Friends of the Burbank Public Library have been instrumental in enhancing library services and supporting our community. They have provided vital financial support for programs, technology, upgrades, and special projects. Their contributions have supported thousands of programs for all ages, including author talks, children's story times, and cultural events. In addition, tonight on the agenda, if you took a close look, we have another generous contribution through the Friends with a generous donation to fund the purchase of, this is in anticipation, not because I'm flipping the page, a bookmobile. This bookmobile, if you've seen, LA Public Library has one, some of our local neighbors have one, and it'll enable library staff to bring services and materials to every corner of our community for years to come. And if you have little ones, they love the bookmobile. As we celebrate their legacy, we look forward to the future and are more than appreciative of their generous support and unwavering commitment to Burbank's libraries and the people they serve. And on a personal note, I will say, having sat on the library board for a few years, Louise, it's a pleasure to work with you, and we're always grateful for everything that the Friends of the Library do. You're truly the best friends of the library.
Thank you.
Of course. Would you like to say anything?
I'll just, a word. A word. I just wanted to thank everybody, thank Madam Mayor and the council members for recognizing the importance of the Burbank Library. And just on a quick historical note, when the Friends began in 1980, their first purchase for the library was an answer phone. And this was big news in 1980. Okay, here it is, 2025, and we're buying a bookmobile. So, everybody, thank you.
Shows you how long they've been contributing to us. All right, so Louise, it's my honor on behalf of the entire City Council and all of us here at the city to present you with this certificate of recognition to the Friends of the Burbank Public Library, recognition of your 45th anniversary, and I congratulate you on this milestone, commend your continued dedication to supporting the Burbank Public Library and enriching our community. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Now let's bring up the Friends for a picture.
Take a step back. Yeah, like that's good.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to the Friends once again. Mr. City Manager, do you have anything to report tonight?
Madam Mayor, yes, I do. I have one item. I'd like to introduce Mr. Scott Planbeck, the city's planning manager, to provide an update on the city's specific plans and where they're at. I know that's important to the council as well as the community, so he will do a brief update.
May I have the presentation, please? Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Perez, Vice Mayor Takahashi, council members, and members of the public. My name is Scott Planbeck, and I am the Planning Manager in the Community Development Department, Planning Division. Tonight, we'll be providing the City Council a status update of the Media District Specific Plan, the TOD Downtown Specific Plan, and the Golden State Specific Plan, and the Burbank Rancho Specific Plan. As part of the ongoing work plan, we will be providing a monthly written update on the specific plans to the City Manager's office. The Downtown Burbank TOD, Golden State Specific Plan, and the Media District Specific Plans will include policies to facilitate the production of housing for the community. The City's Council future consideration to adopt the specific plans will enable the facilitation of production of housing for the community. The City Council's future consideration to adopt specific plans will enable the city to implement local regulations to facilitate the development of affordable and workforce housing to meet local needs, to comply with all state mandates related to housing and land use. The city has engaged in an extensive public outreach on these specific plans, which has helped the city craft a community vision for the plan areas. Further, the proposed specific plans in downtown, Golden State, and Media District are the primary mechanism to implement the city's housing element, policies, and programs to facilitate the development of housing to meet the diverse housing needs of the community. The development standards and policies being developed as part of the plans are intended to streamline project and permitting review. The environmental impact reports that are being prepared for the specific plans will include analysis and mitigation measures that will help accommodate future housing production, streamline CEQA review, and ensure that projected growth is in alignment with city infrastructure. The specific plans include utility infrastructure analysis to determine the infrastructure needs for the projected future growth in the specific plan areas. The Community Development Department is continuing its collaborative work with our colleagues and subject matter experts in Burbank Water and Power, Public Works, and on the needed infrastructure analysis. Because the city is working on several specific plans at once, the city is undertaking highly technical and coordinated infrastructure analysis that's not typical for a single specific plan. This detailed and complex work will help the city plan for future infrastructure needs. Next, I'm going to give you just a brief overview of all the specific plans. And first, I'm going to cover the Media District specific plans, as that's the first one that will be presented to the City Council. Just in the summer of 2025, the city will release a draft environmental impact report for the specific plan. And in the fall of 2025, staff and the consultants will prepare responses to comments, and the final EIR will be released. Or if necessary, the city will recirculate the draft EIR during that time. The draft policy document for the media specific plan was released last summer. But after public feedback, staff is updating the revised policy document. And this is going to be released, the revised policy document, in fall of 2025. Finally, in the winter of 2025-2026, staff will present the plan and EIR to the Planning Commission and City Council for consideration. And on this slide, you'll see the webpage for the Media District specific plan for those interested in participating. The website's there. Next, I will go over the Golden State specific plan timeline. The draft policy document is currently being worked on, and we are working on completing it in the summer of 2025. The document then will be released to the public in the fall of 2025 for review. And then the draft EIR will then be released in the winter of 2025 and 2026, which is also occurring while the draft plan will be out for review. We expect that the final EIR will be completed in the spring of 2026. And based on that proposed schedule, it's anticipated that the Planning Commission and City Council will be considering the plan and the associated EIR for the project in the summer of 2026. And the website for the Golden State Specific Plan is also on this slide for those who are interested in participating. Next, I'll discover the downtown Burbank TOD plan, and that's on a similar timeline to the Golden State Pacific plan. The draft policy document should be completed in summer of 2025, and the document will be released to the public in the fall of 2026. And then the draft EIR will be released in the winter of 2025-2026, and this will occur during the same time as the plan review. And then based on this schedule, it's anticipated that the Planning Commission and Council will be considering the downtown Burbank TOD plan and associated EIR in the early summer of 2026. And the link for the webpage is located here on this slide for those who are interested in seeing the latest documents on the plan. We also wanted to give Council an update on the status of the Rancho Neighborhood Specific Plan. We have started our first round of community outreach for this plan, and in the summer of 2025, we will be doing visioning for the plan. And then in the fall, we will start the policy formulation for the plan. The winter of 2025-2026 will include additional outreach to the community and the preparation of the draft EIR. We plan to release the draft EIR and policy document in the spring of 2026. And we also plan to host additional public outreach in the summer of 2026 for this plan. And then those who are interested in this plan, the link for the website's on this slide as well. And we encourage people to participate in the outreach process. So in closing, we know there is great interest in the community to see the plan's completion, and city staff is working to make sure that the plans address all the city council and community goals to facilitate affordable and workforce housing, to promote local serving commercial uses that support the long-term economic viability of the city and meet state housing and land use mandates. We are also looking at allowing growth to occur within the capacity limits of our local infrastructure and preserve and protect existing neighborhoods to the extent possible. These are very worthwhile efforts that take time to complete, so that we can make sure we work collaboratively with all stakeholders in the community and the general public to build a safe, beautiful, and thriving community. Thank you for your time, and that concludes staff presentation. And we do have the city planning team who's working on all the specific plans here tonight if you had any questions for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Planbeck. All right, do we have any questions from council?
No questions, quick comment.
Okay. Do you want to go with questions first really
Question. You have a question, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this update.
You're welcome.
We've been, asking about it, so I appreciate it. I know that's a lot of work to do the plans itself and also to prepare the updates. A couple questions. So you mentioned that you're going to give a monthly update to the city manager.
That's correct.
Great, that's wonderful. Will that also come to us as well?
Yes, that will be in your Friday management report, so you'll receive that.
Beautiful. And then will there also be updates to those 4 websites that you mentioned?
Yes, and whenever we do updates to, say, a document or anything, we update the website regularly for the public.
Great, thank you. And then my second question is for the downtown specific plan, as you're going through it and going through that timeline, will that also include the civic
Yes.
center area and the new library, and is that?
We're including the civic center as part of the analysis, yes.
Excellent, great, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilor Mullins.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here tonight and going over, and the city manager having to give us this update, because as you know, the community is watching and they want to know what's going on, and this really proves that staff is working behind the scenes, so I do appreciate it. And I also, the updates that we would be receiving to keep us on track. Website update, thank you for asking about that, because it's very helpful to have that information. So
Okay.
keep it up and let's get those plans approved.
We want to get it done, trust us.
Yes, we do too. In my lifetime, I want to see it up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Mr. City Manager, anything else to report?
That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, will you please report on closed session?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, and for the benefit of the public, City Council met at 4:30 p.m. this afternoon to discuss 4 items in closed session. The first 3 items were matters of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54-956.9 D1. First case is Eric Yoon versus City of Burbank, a personal injury auto accident. Second case is
Letice Sherry Whitehead versus City of Burbank. It is a personal injury case. And Jeannie Villasenor Edwards versus City of Burbank. It's an employment case. The final closed session item related to threat to public services or facilities pursuant to Government Code Section 54957A. And Mr. Riyadh Slayman, Assistant General Manager, Burbank Water and Power, presented that item. The City Council took no reportable action this evening.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Now is the time for general public comment. I'll be calling out the speaker's name as well as the person who is next in line to speak in order to keep the public comment moving in a timely fashion. We have a designated seat right up here in the front. It doesn't have its normal seat cover, but it's nonetheless that first seat right there in the front. A timer is available on the podium, and there's also this is also the last call for anybody who wants to turn in public comment cards to speak. This is also a last call for, see, we got one more card coming in. This is also the last call for interpretation services. Has anybody requested interpretation? Seeing none, have a great evening, both of you. All right, persons may choose the first period of public comment to address an agendized report, but will not be able to speak on this report again following this time period. Please state your name for the record. You can correct me if I say your name wrong. And Madam City Clerk, how many comment cards and calls do we have?
We have 15 cards and 2 callers.
All right, there being 17 speakers total, that is, that provides everybody with 3 minutes to speak. So everybody, you will have 3 minutes, and we will start with Chad Kroger, otherwise known as Chad and JT. Welcome back.
What up, Council? My name is Chad Kroger. This is my colleague, JT.
What up?
We come to you today to present a triumph. Our boy Nolan has been going through some heartbreak, so we had an epic day with him together, and now we are here to present the coup de grace.
So our buddy Nolan was going to sing the song Miss You by Blink-182. Iconic. But we didn't want him to sing a song that was looking backwards, so instead he's chosen a new song that's going to break him free and set him forward. I also heard through the grapevine that you guys are leaning towards mixed flow for the BRT. I think it's an imperative that that be a dedicated lane so we can really update our public transportation.
And now we present to you Nolan. Give him hell.
Hello, everyone. I will be singing a little snippet of Give You Hell by the All-American Rejects.
What the whole thing?
Relax. I wake up every evening with a big smile on my face, and it never feels out of place. And you're still probably working at a 9-to-5 pace. I wonder how bad that tastes when you see my face. Hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. When you walk my way, hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. Now where's your picket fence, love? And where's that shiny car? And did it ever get you far? You never seem so tense, love. I've never seen you fall so hard. Do you know where you are? And truth be told, I miss you. And truth be told, I'm lying. When you see my face, hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. When you walk my way, hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. If you find a man that's worth a damn and treats you well, then he's a fool, you're just as well. Hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. All right, thank you.
Nolan, everybody.
Madam Mayor, Nolan was our next speaker, so.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say that was Nolan Kennedy, our second speaker. So Thank you to our first and second public commenters. And thank you for taking me back to our 90s grunge days. All right. Our next speaker is Ron Bax, followed by Chris White.
What are you singing for us, Ron?
Timer hasn't started. They're a hard act to follow. I must have missed something in my childhood.
For further record, no requirements to sing, everybody.
You wouldn't want it.
Yes. Welcome, Mr. Bax. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and staff. You may be relieved that the majority of my remarks tonight are not about rent control, but don't high five yet, because we have some old business to take care of, and I don't think I'm going to get the rest of it. I noticed the link to the Tenant Protection Ordinance on the Housing Enforcement Unit webpage no longer reads Landlord Tenant Protection Ordinance. Thank you for that. Apology accepted. However, the link How to File a Claim leads to a landlord complaint form. You might want to decide if it's a claim or a complaint form. Does anyone check the city to public interface? Anecdotal data suggests the answer is a resounding no. Then the form is unquestionably tailored for tenant use. The defendant section requests the landlord name, phone number, and address. The form states this is a public record, subject to disclosure. Is the city comfortable with disclosing personal information, especially at a public hearing, as stated at the bottom of the form? Stop referring to housing providers as landlords. We do not refer to our tenants as subjects. How would I report unsanitary conditions, which are a habitability issue for tenants and their neighbors? How would I report hoarding, which is a building safety issue? The fire marshal would like to know about that. How would I report a tenant continuing to smoke in violation of city ordinance? I know it's in my rental agreement, but wish me luck trying to enforce that. Okay, a few months ago I observed the city working a trench spanning the entire block of my Orange Grove property. I wondered to myself what was going on. The water service is in the alley, along with the sewer and the gas. My conclusion was addition or replacement of fire hydrants, maybe because of the recent Pacific Palisades and Altadena fires. A week ago last Saturday, the tenant forwarded me a letter from BWP. I'm still waiting for my copy. If he hadn't sent it to me, I wouldn't know about this. The letter stated the city had installed a new meter in the parkway, and I had to, on December 31st, 2025, to prepare to switch over from the alley. The city would reimburse up to $5,000. What housing provider or homeowner has $5,000 lying around to fund this project with the expectation the city will honor its commitment? Personally, I'm recovering from spending $67,000 to restore a rentable condition following a trying tenancy. It is shocking the city did not give more warning in that this is clearly not an emergency and/or some explanation for the need. I assume, I have only 5 seconds, I assume it's an old 80-year-old galvanized pipe that's deteriorating.
Thank you for your comment. All righty, our next speaker is Chris White, followed by Stephen Beardsley.
Hi, my name is Chris White. I am the BMA President, Burbank Management Association President. I'd like to thank Mayor Perez, Vice Mayor Takahashi, and the rest of the City Council members for allowing me to speak. I would like to thank Betsy McClintock and her management services team for the past 8 months of negotiating with myself and the rest of, most of my BMA board. We did salary negotiation, benefits, you name it, we did it. I feel that we were able to work together and create a new MOU that will benefit the city of Burbank and the Burbank Management Association employees. I hope today when you guys review this, you will see that we've done the best we believe we did the best we possibly could to come up with this, and you guys will approve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Thanks for being here tonight. Our next speaker is Stephen Beardsley, followed by Mark Scroggs.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and City Burbank staff. My name is Stephen Beardsley, and I'm applying for the position of one of the vacancies of the Burbank Park Board. I cannot attend the meeting on July 15th So I am here tonight to, because I have a previous commitment, so I'm here tonight to speak with you, and if you have any questions for me, I can answer them after my 3 minutes or after the public comments of this evening. My resume was submitted 3 or 4 years ago when there was a short-term vacancy at the Park Board. It was filled again by Barry Gussow. I'm reapplying now because I feel the need to volunteer my time again. Besides the information on my brief application form, I submit the following in no particular order. City of Burbank resident since 1962, educated here at Edison Elementary, Luther Burbank Junior High School, and John Burroughs High School. U.S. Air Force veteran from 1970 to 74 with an honorable discharge. Married my high school sweetheart in 1970. We have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. Active in the City of Burbank sports from 1962 in the Burbank Police Athletic League, softball, Daisy Wong tennis, Burbank Tennis Center with Steve Starleaf, coaching t-ball, playing golf, and a board member of the DeBell Senior Men's Golf Club, and I play pickleball. Since pickleball started in Burbank on February 1st, 2016, my wife and I have been working closely with John McGinley, Diego Savelos, and the pickleball ambassadors with the ongoing aspects of Burbank pickleball at Olive, Maxim, and Luther Burbank Middle Schools. Volunteering at the Adaptive Sports Kickoff meeting next to the Burbank Tennis Center a few months back, attended Burbank Community College community meetings, and volunteered in the Learn to Read program with the Glen Oaks Burbank Library. In 1989, I started to umpire and referee for the City of Burbank youth and adult sports. And in 1997, Linda Ozransky asked me to be a trainer for the youth officials here in Burbank. And my last officiating duty here in Burbank was 2019. In 2008, I was inducted to the Burbank Athletics Walk of Fame down at Olive Park, and a member for 17 years and 2 terms of president with the Burbank Athletic Federation. I've attended several concerts under the stars up at the Starlight Bowl and our children's graduations at the Bowl in 1991 and 94. And as a Park and Recreation Board member, I would attend all board meetings and, if requested, as a liaison to attend other city meetings. When I was a manager in my professional life and as a subcommittee member assisting the BAF to fill vacancies, my questioning of the applicants was always stressing the importance of being at meetings, and I say here tonight I would commit to all the meetings in the future. Some agenda items on my radar as a Burbank Park board member would be to expand the Burbank bicycle paths in the Burbank City, plan for improved visuals of Burbank Park and Rec locations, DeBell, Brace, Isaiah, and the other parks, and somehow to help with the homeless issues here in Burbank. I look forward to watching the replay of the July 15th meeting, and hopefully I get selected.
Thank you for your
the
comment. That's your
you.
time. Thank you. Thank you for your comment, and thank you for applying. Our next speaker is Mark Scroggs, followed by Jackie Waltman.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Scroggs. Regarding the entertainment tax incentives funding, there was a big article today in Deadline about it. There's still going to be funding. They just don't know how much. There's a lot of competition. So I've encouraged people, I'm encouraging everybody to keep reaching out to the state legislators about it. Look, there's a lot of bills and things going on that could be cut, but this is more of a jobs bill. This can bring in revenue that will help with the other stuff. Also, some people were noticing that there was films announced yesterday that were tax incentive. They're from the last year. Most of them were medium and low budget films, except for one, which is getting a lot of attention. And why are they doing that? They're just giving it to the elites. That's the Brad Pitt, David Fincher film, based on his character from Once a Time in Hollywood. It's an expensive film, but there's a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities in it. In fact, right before the meeting, I got an appointment for someone. It's going to shoot for 6 months here. So it's all valuable. It's all worthwhile. Like I said, it'll bring a lot of jobs and visibility. Remember, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Chili Johns has a cameo. People forget about it, but it's there. And then, anyway. Also, other states, especially Texas this week, really started to sweeten up their incentives to go after us and everybody else. So email the reps, your reps, go to the websites. Our two have been really great about it, but there's others. And you can also reach out about other bills. Like I'm going to contact them regarding SB 805, the No Vigilantes Act, which outlaws police impersonation and establishes new ID requirements for individuals coming to act under law enforcement authority. That's kind of needed right now. We also need to thank and encourage production here. I was on a Zoom, I know Carmen was on it too, where they were saying like a lot of people don't want to film in their neighborhoods and make it difficult. We can't afford that now. We need to be welcoming as possible. I used my extra Emmy voting nomination spots. I know some other people did for LA-based shows. I never thought I would vote for NCIS for Best Drama, but I did for that. And also be appreciative when projects are shooting here and encouraging them. Don't be, a lot of people just make life difficult. They have in the past. You can't do that anymore. Other places are much nicer. So that's it. I know you're going to talk about some other entertainment stuff later. I encourage everyone to go, and I can send it to you, the New York Magazine article about Hollywood, about the great realignment, about how the business is changing. Keep that in mind because it's YouTube, it's live events, and that sort of thing right now. Darman Studios makes about $50 million a year here in Burbank, and no one notices it. So have a good evening.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Jackie Waltman, followed by Mike Darien.
Hi, Jackie Waltman. I have some copies for the council, but Kim's not there, so I guess I'll do it after. I'm back to remind you of your duty to uphold and defend democracy. Voting is right in this country, and it supersedes the personal opinions of sitting government officials. This country was founded on the principles of democracy, and elections are the way that people express what they want. Democracy supports that the will of the people will be upheld. I brought you a copy of the oath, like the one each of you signed, as a reminder of your duty to defend the Constitution and democracy, in case you'd forgotten. I'm calling for Ms. Perez and Mr. Anthony to recuse themselves on the rent cap and registry issue, as there is an inherent conflict of financial benefit as renters in the city. Ms. Perez, Takahashi, and Anthony apparently have gone out of the way to have the Councilman Rosati recused, and Ms. Perez and Anthony should likewise recuse themselves regardless of the stance of the FPPC. It's the right thing for you to do. As in all democratic institutions, the ultimate power and authority rests with the people. Burbank citizens elect 5 members of the City Council who represent the citizen and enact laws and develop policies on their behalf. When the voters have such a resounding result of 2 elections, it is incumbent on the City Council to respect that mandate. At the last meeting, a speaker from the Burbank Tenants Union implied that the 2 previous votes on rent control should be ignored. I sincerely hope the City Council does not adhere to the self-serving denial of the democratic process. The conversation regarding housing providers has been very one-sided by people who have never walked in their shoes and really don't have a clue what it takes to provide housing in this city. Overall, there have been very few complaints by tenants. There are many housing providers that are fearful of coming here, worried about retaliation by the city. So the council is getting a very skewed view of this issue. There is already a state-imposed rent cap, and coincidentally, the city council members' annual salary increase operates on the same formula. Takahashi, Perez, and Anthony, why do you believe that housing providers should make less money than the city council does? There is such a blatant unfairness and bullying going on around this rent cap issue. No kings in Washington, no kings in Burbank. If I have 3 city council members who refuse to uphold the will of the voters, maybe this royal code should be abolished. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mike Darien, followed by Corey Mensing.
Good evening, council members. At the last meeting, Council Member Takahashi asked me to provide the platforms I had in mind for housing data that could support informed decision-making on housing policy. Before I mention a couple of these sources, let me briefly recap my statement from the last time. I said, quote, claiming we need more data to justify a rent registry is a smokescreen. Data already exists and is used daily by professionals. This isn't about more information. It's about control and surveillance. Let's call registry what it really is, a tax and housing provider funded monitoring system. End of quote. Even your document says the newly established Housing Enforcement Unit. Now, if you had taken the time to review readily available data, you would not need another one from me. The truth is, more data doesn't always mean better data. But if you didn't explore those sources, then it further reveals the true motive behind rent registry. Not better policy, but better control and surveillance. It's again on page 1. It's shocking what's happening. Now let me name a couple of respected platforms. CoStar, Yardi Matrix, used by city and regional planners, housing authorities, developers, and syndicators, institutional investors, and REITs. You want data? If it's good for them, it's good for you. CoStar and Yardi Matrix provide reliable housing data without the need for intrusive rent registries. The need for more data is being used as a buzzword to justify a rent registry and create the illusion of thoughtful decision making, when in reality, better data already exists and is simply being ignored. As leaders, your duty is to promote balanced policies that fairly share responsibility among the city tenants and housing providers, instead of placing the entire burden on housing providers. Your decision should be based on facts and fairness, not ideology. Burbank really deserves better. I'm not talking to 3 of you there.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Corey Mensing, followed by Diana Pulver. Welcome, Corey. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Corey Mensing. I'm applying for the Transportation Commission. Hello, Mayor Perez, Vice Mayor Takahashi, Councilmember Rosati, Anthony, and Mullins. I have to say thanks again for supporting Job Connect Plus. I really appreciate it. I will say that every time I see you. Thank you, BPL, for printing those fabulous copies you're holding. From great advice, I created a typed up list of accomplishments in transportation advocacy. I will say first and foremost, I'm applying to help as many people as possible. I've been a multimodal commuter as long as I've lived in Burbank. And I've worked with Metro, LA County, and others to push for small changes that make a real difference in people's lives. I requested a bus stop at Victory and Chandler, and when I first saw people using it, I was very happy. And when the city added a bench to that stop, I was also very happy. And I'm just a guy. So I saw an opportunity for improvements, and I reached out, often utilizing existing city service channels. Go 311. 311 is great. It started with about 5% asking, is this possible? And happened with 95% follow-up and advocacy. So I can see a Burbank where residents are equally comfortable walking, biking, using transit, and driving, and I'll continue to support a multimodal future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Diana Pulver, followed by Ashley Ramsey.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. Please keep small housing providers in mind when you make your decisions regarding housing regulations and controls. Small businesses such as mine already work hard to make sure that we are in compliance with the laws set forth by the state. Additional local controls, while well-intended, serve only to make for a more Byzantine set of rules that make many a small provider think twice when a large developer with an offer calls. Burbank is the place where I grew up, raised a family, and started a business. My mother used to say, "Nada como mi Burbank." I say, please don't LA my Burbank. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Ashley Ramsey, followed by Elizabeth Bax.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Ashley Ramsey. I've been a Burbank resident for 8 years, and I love this city. I love the people in the city, the people who make Burbank thrive, the people who give to our community, and the people who make this place a beautiful place to live and to raise families. But right now, people are fearful. They are afraid to go to work. They're afraid to go to places of worship. They're afraid to go to the grocery store. They are afraid because they are quite literally being removed from their homes and places of work by masked, plainclothes wearing so-called agents who seem to be operating under a lawless agenda. ICE agents are taking longtime residents, they're taking children, they're taking citizens. They are taking law-abiding people who are working to provide for their families. And we are seeing the effects of these inhumane ICE raids right here in our city of Burbank. And we should not be okay with that. That's not okay. Businesses have closed because workers are afraid. No one should be afraid. So I'm asking that you look into and support the No Vigilantes Act. This is a bill that would require federal agents to clearly identify themselves. This would add transparency and accountability for federal agents. And it is a common sense first step into making our community feel safe, at least safer. I know that you all have various reasons of wanting to serve and wanting to hold this position. And I hope that one of those reasons is to protect, to serve, and to help our community and your Burbank residents. So I ask that you please support the SB 805, the No Vigilantes Act. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Bax, followed by Daniel. Welcome, Ms. Bax. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, city staff and council members. You've been hearing from some housing providers in the past few weeks. These housing providers are not corporations. They are not developers. They are regular people who have happened to own small rentals in Burbank. Like so many mom and pop housing providers in this city, they are not getting rich off of this. They are just trying to stay afloat, care for their property, and offer someone else a good place to live. Do not enact rent control that targets small local housing providers. Oops, I lost my place. Like these. They are not the problem. They are your neighbors. They fix leaky faucets themselves. They know their tenants by name. They care when their tenants have a baby or lose a job. Most of them charge fair rent because they understand they've been there too. Most only started raising rent when the state rent control went into effect. But if you pass rent control laws in this city that make it harder than the existing state rent control, you will make it even harder for these people to keep going. Many of them will have no choice but to sell. And when they sell, they won't sell to other families. They will sell to corporations, big investment firms, out-of-town buyers who don't care about our community. And those corporations, they build luxury units. I saw the current studio for about $3,300 a month right now in Burbank. They raise rents, and they are exempt from rent control. So you lose the very thing that you're trying to protect: affordable, stable housing. It feels like you are pushing them out of Burbank. I tried to get some guidance myself by going to one of the housing clinics. I had to go twice to get seen, by the way. It said that it was for landlords and tenants, but it didn't feel that way. And I'm wondering if landlords is just added to act like it's for both. I'm not making enough money presently and thought that an ADU might help me while helping others. But I didn't feel welcome there. I felt judged. It didn't feel like a space for me. And this has become the norm with what's being offered by the city to the landlords. It doesn't feel equitable. Burbank says it wants affordable housing. But if that's really the goal, why isn't the city asking the corporations or the governments to step up? Why aren't they building homes working families can actually afford to live in? The fact that they won't should be a red flag, because the corporations can't make a profit on affordable housing. Please don't lump these mom and pop housing providers in corporate ones. They aren't not the same. They are people who care. Give them respect and recognition within this city. Why aren't you helping them stay in this city too? Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Daniel, followed by Manny Padilla.
Hello, good evening, City Council, City staff, and fellow Burbank residents. Today and the past couple weeks have been a very unsettling and scary time for our community. People in masks have been literally snatching people off the streets, from their homes, from their businesses. We don't even know who many of these people are. Some of them are perhaps legitimate federal law enforcement, although what they're doing is very likely unconstitutional. Some of these folks are wearing masks, no identification. We don't know if they're bounty hunters, and they definitely don't seem to be operating within the law. As some other folks have mentioned, there's a law that was introduced, SB 805, the No Vigilantes Act. I strongly support this, and I hope that that you sitting up there will support this. Maybe recommend that the state continue to pass this. I stand in solidarity with our immigrant community here in Burbank. They're very active members of this community, whether they're documented or undocumented. We have a lot of reports of businesses that are not opening, employees not showing up to work. We know that this means employees not receiving paychecks. How are they going to pay rent if they're too scared to go to work? If family members have been deported? What is City Council able to do to help support our community, to help support some of these folks? And lastly, some members of our community, some landlords have spoken tonight. Since we don't have a rent registry, I think it's fair that you have an understanding of who some of these folks are. Many of them claim to be small local landlords. One of them owns 2 houses and 16 apartment units. One of them actually lives in Glendale. They own 8 units. One of them owns 8 houses and 7 apartment units, and another one owns 7 houses and 29 apartment units. Again, I don't think any of these folks are small local mom and pop landlords like they claim. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Let's limit commentary, everybody. Come on. We all have to get along here. Everybody gets their 3 minutes, and we'll go on from there. Okay. Our next speaker is Manny Padilla, followed by Jamie Padilla.
Hello, Mayor and council members. I wanted to came here last minute in support of the filming task force that's going to go on, and I'm hoping that actually one of the people that sit on that council is the mayor. I'm a Burbank resident, and I'm also the supervising location manager of the TV show 911 that has recently moved here from Fox Studios to Disney in the backyard of Burbank. And I'm here in support of that because I think it's super important that as, you know, being Burbank and having these big studios in our backyard, we should be like in the forefront of helping business come back to LA, and most importantly to Burbank, where I believe a lot of it's been created. And you know, over time, I think things have changed. Some of the policies, some of the red tape. I think it's a great opportunity right now to come together as a community and to take not advantage but help our neighbors, which, I mean, there's a lot of people. I can't express how many friends and family that are out of work right now, and we have the opportunity right now to jump ahead of that, cut some of the red tape, figure out how to get some of our residents back to work, and at the same time, it's an opportunity also for the city to make some money. We employ a lot of people, not just the general public, but we also employ city people, police, fire, all of that things comes into one, and we do have the opportunity to do it right now. I think the cry's out there for the help, and I hope that we can all get together and figure out how to streamline that process with this task force. The mayor, and she has my contact information. I know there's a lot of people in this community that could get really good input and are willing to join and figure out how to make that process of filming here easier in Burbank. So I appreciate all of you. I'm full support of this, and I do hope the mayor sits on that board, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Jamie Padilla, and then we'll go to the phones.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Perez, Jamie Padilla. Like many of the speakers earlier this evening, I come feeling the pain of our community, the fear and the sense of unsafety. We've all seen the footage of unmasked federal agents, or presumably federal agents, often using excessive force or being cruel. And it's creating such a sense of unsafety, but also seeing these folks in plain clothes, in unmarked vehicles is causing a lot of confusion. It's leaving people disoriented. And like many, I'm here supporting SB 805 and State Senator Perez's amendments to SB 805, which increase transparency and accountability, and thus the public sense of safety, by requiring law enforcement agents to present their badges, their names, and it also prohibits the use of these face coverings and these masks. I think that it's an urgent measure. Yesterday, the mayor of Pasadena stood with Senator Perez announcing these amendments. I, as a resident of Burbank, would love to see our city council endorse SB 805 and Senator Perez's amendments. I've come previous weeks talking about the Tenant Protections Ordinance and our support for a rent registry. And honestly, in this moment, that feels like asking for breadcrumbs. I've spent the past couple weeks with workers, with community members, in meetings, hearing not only is there this insecurity in the streets where people are afraid, as previously mentioned, to go to their workplaces, to their places of worship, a couple weeks back to graduations even, but people are feeling more insecure in their homes. In some cases, breadwinners have been detained, in some cases deported, leaving families with a loss of income. And in other cases, people are just afraid to go to work, or their workplaces have been shut down. We've seen some of the car washes here in Burbank that are closed down. And so a rent registry feels like a low bar in a moment like this. And I would urge council to consider measures that are more far-reaching, that protect vulnerable residents and community members in such a tough time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Madam City Clerk, how many callers do we have still on the line?
We still have 2.
Great. Let's get in the callers.
Our first caller is Rennie Gabriel.
Hi, Rennie. You're on with City Council. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, Mayor Perez and fellow council members. My name is Rennie Gabriel, and with my wife, we've been mom and pop housing providers here in Burbank since 2008, and after 12 years, we now have 11 units. That means we are not a major corporation. One thing that separates the United States from Russia and other communist countries is the concept of property rights, which has been enshrined in our Constitution. Liberty includes the freedom to acquire and use property and make decisions that will shape our lives. When Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death," he understood that liberty requires security in your person and your property. Thomas Jefferson said, and I quote, "A right to property is founded in our natural wants, and the right to acquire without violating the rights of other sensible beings, and that no one has a right to obstruct another." Despite what our founding fathers wrote in the Constitution to protect our property rights, it appears that this council intends to take away our property rights through regulations and a rent registry. There is almost no way to judge the future, except based on the experience of the past. And the past experience of the measures this council is proposing have continually failed to provide the solutions of more housing. It has failed in city after city, everywhere in the country. 206 studies of rent control issues show that they disproportionately help wealthy renters, while at the same time hurting the very renters who have fewer resources. You want more controls or more housing? Doubling down on failed policies will not make it magically successful. At the last council meeting on June 10th, someone commented that anyone who owned more than one house was hoarding houses. This is absurd. Grocery stores are not hoarding food. They are selling food to those that need it. Hardware stores are not hoarding plumbing supplies. They are selling things to people who need them. I'm providing housing to families that need a place to live. I am not hoarding housing. I'm a housing provider, not a landlord. I don't have indentured servants or serfs. I have tenants who appreciate the clean, affordable housing that I provide, and I hope you will not crush us with unreasonable burdens. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Our next caller is Joe Pimienta.
Hi, Joe. You're on the City Council. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, staff. Good evening, everyone present in the chamber. Once again, I wish I were in person, but responsibilities fell with different priorities. As you all know, I am a resident of Burbank and a participant with the Burbank Tenant Union. And first, I would like to respond to a few things that were said in the last meeting. One of them being that housing is a business, which that is correct. Therefore, it's a commodity and not a human right. So let's put that into the language. Secondly, someone accused of BTU of raising a panic, which I would like to think, well, what word would you use when there is a sense of urgency for people that are losing their housing constantly due to high rent increases, let alone other conditions such as retaliation? I think it's also really important to think about it like it's whenever we have this conversation, the topic of percentages come about. And I think, sorry, that's my priority right there. And I think it's really important to just think in matters of like what do those percentages look like in dollars? So, for instance, someone's saying that they got a 30% increase in their insurance for a year. That can look very different to what a 9% rental increase looks every month. Because sometimes getting a 9% rent increase means over $200 a month, which means that it's something that cannot be afforded. Like I said, someone's got an opinion about that. Lastly, I want to read you I also want to read you a story. This is not my story, but it's someone else posted it. Someone else commented. My rent is $14.45. The duplex I live in is being sold, and the new landlord is charging me $19.50. No renovations, no upgrades, just pure profit. That's $500 rent increase just for doing nothing. So again, these are things that I think are worth taking into consideration. And as you can hear, that's what rent increases do. Anyways, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Oh, and lastly, I do also want to point out that there are still a lot of unauthorized short-term rentals, which is why our rental registry will also be very helpful in order to enforce the law that already exists, and this is why we need transparency. Once more, thank you for your time, and I got to get back to work.
Thank you for both your comments. All right.
That was our last speaker.
That is the end of our public comment period. There being no further public comment or callers, I now declare the general public comment period closed. Now's the time for a brief response from City Council, the City Manager, and/or the City Attorney. Mr. City Manager or Attorney? No, nothing? All right. Who would like to go first from Council? Councilman Anthony.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you to everyone for coming down. Thank you to the Friends of the Library for that wonderful donation. We're going to see something come out of it very soon. Thanks for the baby. That was, how do you follow that? That's fantastic. I want to give my appreciation to Chad and JT for bringing their friend down here and singing us a lovely song. I do want to correct the record. All American Rejects is not a 90s grunge, that is early 2000s pop punk. So I just want to make sure that people in the public know that we're aware of our music. And Ms. Ramsey and Ms. Padilla, you're right. We're up here, we serve the public without wearing masks. And we do so with all of the criticism and praise that comes with it. Probably more criticism than praise, I would have to say. But yeah, I think people who serve the public should do so. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Who would like to go next? Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, everyone who came out tonight to speak. As always, appreciate you taking time out of your day to come to council meetings, and to those who emailed us, gave us phone calls, and I had lots of meetings the past week, so appreciate those as well. Let's see. Friends of the Library, so great to see them here. I was on the board for a couple years, and the bookmobile is so cool. I cannot wait for the ribbon cutting for that. Mr. Bax had mentioned a question about reporting unsanitary conditions, hoarding, smoking violations. Mr. City Attorney, he asked what can be done about those situations? What recourse do landlords have if that, or housing providers have if that's what they're facing?
Well, they should generally work with the city's license and code department. Generally, code enforcement is taken against the owner, but that doesn't mean that there isn't some way we can work with them if the conditions are caused by a tenant or lessor.
Okay, so please reach out for that. Mr. White, oh, did you have more? Okay. Mr. White, thank you for coming out. I appreciate your words about the item. Mr. Beardsley and Mr. Menzing, thank you for coming today to speak about applying for the positions, even though it's not till the next meeting. It's really great to have you come out. Appreciate that. And let's see, Mr. Scroggs, always appreciate the updates. Really appreciate it. And oh, sweet. Okay.
I can't hear from the public at this time. Sorry.
Yeah. And then let's see. So I got a little derailed there. Let's see. Miss Ramsey, Mr. Scroggs, Daniel, and Ms. Padilla, thank you so much for bringing up SB 805. Very, very much appreciate you bringing that up. And let's see. Oh, Mr. Darian, thank you for bringing the information about the data. Looking forward to meeting with you. My information's available. I would love to chat with you more about that. And do we know when the item for the rent information collection rent registry would be coming back to us? Do you have an idea? Or is it still not sure because of the FPPC?
That date hasn't been set yet.
Okay. Could we, just when it comes back, to take a look at those data locations that he mentioned, CoStar and Yangtze metrics, if we can add that to the information that's provided? Thanks. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all again for coming out. Appreciate it.
All right. Who would like to go next? Councilman Mullins. Oh.
Yeah, thank you. Real quick,
rock, paper,
Madam
scissors?
Mayor. Thank you to Mr. Beardsley for coming out and introducing yourself. We appreciate it. I know you're going to be on vacation when we deliberate on this. And Mr. Mensing, thank you too as well. Thank you for Friends of the Library for your donation, and I saw that the Brown family was here. I think they're gone, but thank you for all of them for coming out and for their dad's service. And then just the constant demonization of housing providers. Look, I don't care if you own 10, 20, 30 units. I respect that's the profession that they chose. That's how they earn their money. And at the end of the day, they're providing housing. So demonizing people for owning property, demonizing people for how many units they have, that's their right, that's their choice, that's their chosen profession. And instead of working together, I think it's better if we work together rather than demonizing each other. So thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilor Mullins.
Thank you. I too want to thank everyone who came and spoke tonight. I want to congratulate Friends of the Library for their hard work and always making contributions to the city. This is wonderful. I wanted to address something that keeps on coming up here at the chamber. In regards to our documents, and this is for the city attorney, and I don't know if it's something that I would need to ask for it later, or I can just ask, is there any way that we can change the title of landlord-tenant complaint form to say housing providers?
I believe that form specifically refers to the commission that the council labeled Landlord-Tenant Commission.
I see.
That's the official name of the commission in the code.
Okay, so that's something we would have to look at.
We could, if that's correct. They do have an intake form.
Sure.
And that's the name of the body.
Okay, and it does say landlord-tenant complaint request. I'm assuming this is the one that goes to the commission.
And both landlords and tenants, I believe, use those referral forms to have matters agendized before the commission.
Okay, so it's definitely be happy to address that later. However, the other documents that on the website, I think as he mentioned, that we've made some changes to reflect its housing provider. If staff can just take a look at it to make sure that these are the right titles, because I know we got away from landlord titles for a while here. So if we can follow that, will be great. I do want to thank Mr. Bearsley, and then also Mr. Mancy for coming down. I think he left. One of them is gone, but yes, you're here. So I am setting all the interviews with boards and commissions, and I will be contacting you to have a chat with, both of you since he's gone, but I will be contacting you. Thank you, and thank you for applying. Also, I do want to address Ms. Bax. It really disturbs me to hear that someone has not been treated well coming into the meetings, or feel afraid, or feel that they were not respected. I don't know if these are exact same words, but those are the words I got out of Ms. Bax's speaking points. Either you're a landlord, or I shouldn't say landlord, it's a housing provider, or a tenant. Everyone should be treated, and I know our staff does a good job. Before I say anything, I think our staff have always tried to, be respectful to people and listen to them and try to assist them. So I'm not sure what the situation is, but I want you to feel confident. Anyone should go, again, on either side. Anyone should be at those meetings feeling respected, feeling that they can speak their mind and be free to say anything, without feeling that they're being mistreated. So I don't know, again, the situation, but we're here. If it happens again, please feel free to be more specific and email us, let us know, because we strive to make sure that we do have excellent customer service. So thank you for addressing that with us. And as far as Ms. Ashley Ramsey and Danny, in regards to SB 805, I don't know. I appreciate you bringing it to attention. Of course, everyone here is tuned into the media, and we all see what's going on. honestly, I'm waiting to see what happens with that. As far as us in the city, we have taken action. We have adopted a resolution. And without getting too much into details, there's no way at 100% we're going to make people feel safe, but we do, by adopting the resolution, our commitment, our police department commitment to what we already discussed in the public meeting. So I'm waiting to see, like you, what is going to happen and take place. So I do appreciate you talking about it and being a voice for people that can't be here tonight. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Councilman Mullins. All righty, so I'll start by thanking folks who came to speak about the agenda items. We'll talk about those at the time each item comes up. I won't speak to them now, but thank you for being down here. Thank you to the Friends of the Burbank Library. We appreciate you. And thank you to the family of Don Brown for coming down and sharing him with us for so many years. I want to address some comments, although we are not talking about housing today. I want that to be clear for everybody. It's not on the agenda. Mr. Bax, I actually really appreciate you bringing this and sharing your concerns, and I do ask that staff look into some of these things and the forms that are online and the process that we're taking, because he had brought up some valid questions and points that we should be looking into. Thank you for that, and thank you for going through the website and seeing what we can improve on. I really appreciate the feedback. Jackie, who commented shortly after, I do want to remind you, the city attorney did send a letter to three letters to the FPPC inquiring onto the ability of Councilor Anthony, myself, and Councilor Rosati, and our ability to vote on these rental items. They are questions that were sent to the state. To your point, we are following the rule of law on that. And I do think it's important, like you shared, to address misinformation. No member of this body asked Councilmember Rosati to recuse himself. He did that out of an abundance of caution. In the moment, as many of us have to often do, when we see something come forward and there's a question of whether or not we can vote. And to the point that was alluded to earlier with the vice mayor asking our city attorney, those items are not coming back yet, and we don't know when they'll come back because we are awaiting that response from the FPPC, because you're absolutely right, we follow the democratic rule of law here. Moving on from housing to Ms. Ramsey and the folks who spoke on SB 805. Thank you for speaking on that today. It was a very recently introduced bill in the legislature by Senator Sasha Renee Perez, who I have no relationship with familially. We just share the same last name, but very grateful to her for introducing that. I know these are scary times, and I will be asking for something later on tonight. So thank you for bringing that forward. And then on that, I will say these are scary times, and to our community members that are concerned and afraid and not sure what's going on out there, we've received some questions. And I do encourage you to direct those questions to our amazing police department that has been fielding a lot of those. They can really explain our role as a city, the legality of how some of these things work, because I know we have undocumented members of our community and U.S. citizens in our community who have questions. And I think those questions are very well directed to them. They will give you the facts. And finally, I want to give a big thank you to Chad and JT, and now their friend Nolan, who joined them in serenading us tonight. You're right, it is pop punk, but they were going to sing grunge first. You know, they let me down. So thank you to them for serenading us once again. I gotta tell you, I appreciated the Santana a little bit more from last time, but that's just my taste in music, and I think we could all use a little bit of fun every now and then, especially during these times. So thank you for that. All right, moving on. Now we move on to the consent calendar. It may be enacted in one motion. Madam City Clerk, and bear with us, it's a long one, please read the consent calendar and all, I believe, 16
All 16
items.
items, right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 1 is approval of the City Council minutes of the joint meeting of June 3rd, 2025, and the regular meeting of June 10th, 2025, and the dark meeting of June 17th, 2025. Item 2 is adoption of an ordinance establishing conditional use permit and administrative use permit minor modification processes and clarification of application withdrawal process. Adoption of a resolution of the Council of the City of Burbank amending Article 3, Section 1 of the fiscal year 2025-2026 citywide fee schedule to clarify and add the fees related to minor modifications of conditional use permits and administrative use permits. Item 3 is adoption of an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 1, Article 3, Section 315 of the Burbank Municipal Code to replace the name of the Park, Recreation, and Community Services Department with Parks and Recreation Department. Item 4 is adoption of an ordinance amending Article 410, Chapter 3, Title 5 of the Burbank Municipal Code, unlawful to be in parks when closed. Item 5 is adoption of a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Burbank and the Burbank Management Association from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. Item 6 is adoption of a resolution of compensation plan for city clerk and city treasurer, appointed officials and department managers, and adoption of a resolution of compensation plan for unrepresented mid-managers. Item 7 is adoption of a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with the City of Burbank and the Burbank firefighters from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, and adoption of a resolution approving a citywide salary schedule. Item 8 is introduction of an ordinance and adoption of a resolution amending City Council compensation and benefits. Item 9 is adoption of a resolution authorizing the execution of a subaward agreement with the Los Angeles County Aging and Disabilities Department to support the City of Burbank's supplemental nutrition programs and supportive services, authorizing the city manager to execute the subaward agreement and amending the adopted fiscal year 2025-2026 budget by appropriating funds. Item 10 is adoption of a resolution approving a project list for the Road Repair and Accountability Act, SB 1, for fiscal year 2025-2026. Item 11 is adoption of a resolution authorizing an amendment to increase the cost to bid schedule number 1508, Providencia Sewer Improvement Project Phase 2, in the amount of $1,840,000 and amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget by appropriating funds. Item 12 is adoption of a resolution approving the procurement of a spare 360 MVA 230 kilovolt to 69 kilovolt transformer from HD Hyundai Electric America Corporation at LADWP's RSE substation. Item 13 is adoption of a resolution to authorize the city manager or designee to accept a donation from the Friends of the Burbank Public Library in the amount of $250,000 to appropriate funds, dispense with competitive bidding, and purchase a library outreach vehicle, a bookmobile, in the amount of $160,000 from the city of Marshalltown. Item 14 is approval of an amendment to an engineering services agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated for landscape design services for the San Fernando Bikeway and Metro Railroad landscaping project. Item 15 is acceptance of a donation of a 2025 Yamaha utility vehicle with an estimated value of $12,500 from Yamaha Motor Corporation USA for the Burbank Police Department's Motor Officer Training Site. And item 16 is approval of a multi-year subscription agreement between the City Attorney's Office and Thomson Reuters, West Publishing Corporation for Westlaw Precision with co-counsel online legal research. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Great. Motion by Mullen, second by Takahashi. Let's take a vote.
Councilmember Anthony?
Abstain on 15, yes on all the rest.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
And Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. All right. We have 2 reports to council this evening, and after staff's presentation, the city council will proceed with in-person public comment only. Speakers will be allowed to speak on the item at the conclusion of the presentation, as long as the speaker has not spoken on the item during the first period of general public comment. Please be sure to submit your public comment card now, as no additional cards will be accepted once the comment period begins, or commences, which was the word in here, following staff's presentation. All right, the first report to council tonight is a first step report on the city's preparation for the 2028 Summer Olympics and potential establishment of a task force. I welcome Mr. Ken Berkman, Public Works Director, to present the report. Welcome, Mr. Berkman.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mayor, council members, at the June 25th, 2024 council meeting, Vice Mayor Takahashi requested a first step report on the city's preparation for the 28 Olympics. And at the August 27th, 2024 meeting, the Vice Mayor also requested that a report include the potential creation of a task force to support planning for the Olympics. In March of this year, staff commenced preparation for the upcoming 2028 Summer Olympics by forming an internal planning committee comprised of staff from multiple departments. Staff has been actively engaging with outside stakeholders such as the City and County of LA, the Los Angeles 2028 Organizing Committee, cities throughout the region, with the effort collectively titled 88 for 28, referencing the 88 regional cities working collaboratively on Olympics planning. Staff's planning efforts have centered around three general categories. First, tourism, hospitality, and promotion, looking to designate Burbank Airport as an official Olympic airport to provide convenient access for all. Exploring partnerships to offer hotels and event spaces for athletes, staff, and visitors. Consideration of event promotions, such as advertising at the airport and throughout the city. And also holding public viewing parties to foster a sense of unity and excitement and provide the opportunity for everyone to experience the spirit of the games together. Secondly, transportation and mobility planning, which is a top priority for sure. To that end, we are working with Metro and Southern California Association of Governments, or SCAG, to see what role Burbank can play in our region's transportation strategies. For all the transportation-related efforts, while the goal will be to serve the influx of visitors in the short term, we will make sure the improvements meet the long-term needs of residents, and as any public works director would focus on, we make sure we understand the long-term operation and maintenance impacts of any improvements constructed for the Olympics. A third, inclusivity and adaptive sports. Staff has been proactive in expanding adaptive sports programs to support athletes of all abilities and fostering an inclusive environment in anticipation of the 2028 Paralympic Games. We're looking to align the 2028 Burbank Adaptive Sports Expo with the Paralympic Games schedule, creating synergy between local events and the international sporting calendar. We're also seeking opportunities to host Paralympic athletes and provide practice facilities to enhance the support network for the Games. So lastly, while forming a task force has been considered at this stage in the planning process, and with all the regional efforts still in development, staff feels the most effective approach to the city's planning efforts is to continue our proactive approach to collaborative planning with regional partners and internal stakeholders, and provide regular updates to the council once per quarter at a minimum. The updates will allow staff to share progress on local and regional initiatives, obtain feedback, and seek input and direction from the City Council as needed to ensure alignment with the city's goals and priorities. Staff will continue to assess the option and potential benefits of a task force as planning evolves and as more defined opportunities for city and community engagement emerge. That concludes our report, and we remain for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Berkman. Madam City Clerk, any public comment on this item?
We do not have any cards.
Okay. There being no public comment, we will now move on to council questions of this item. Let's start with questions. Anybody have questions? Councilmember Rosati.
Thank you. I was wondering if venues have been decided on. Do we know if the LA Equestrian Center is going to be used, or is it Temecula? I know there was a jockeying for that. No pun
All
intended.
right. Thank you, Council Member, for the question. Parks and Recreation is actively attending meetings and considering venues in partnership with our regional partners and other cities and agencies, but none have been specifically identified or offered yet. So I
And
see
is,
it okay.
is there a way to kind of like put our best foot forward? How does that work?
Sure. Ms. Garcia is coming up, Parks and Rec Director, can answer that in more detail.
Welcome, Ms. Garcia.
Good evening, Mayor Perez, council members. Marissa Garcia with Parks and Recreation. In terms of locations, the Olympic LA28 committee has already identified venues to host these games. Most of the games will be within the city of Los Angeles. Others will be outside of the city, Long Beach, Carson. I know the Equestrian Center is probably the closest venue that may or could have been selected, but the LA28 committee, I believe, has selected Santa Anita Racetrack, if I'm not mistaken, to host some of the equestrian activities. With regards to the second question, staff, myself, my team, have actively been putting ourselves out there. I know Burbank may not have a facility to host games. What we have been really proactive in trying to invite cities to use our facilities for training. So whether it's our tennis center that I believe was used for the 1984 Olympics, our aquatic facilities were also used for 1984 Olympics. So we're definitely working through different avenues to make Burbank a location for training facilities, as well as potential some housing. I think there's a little bit more because a lot of the games are a little bit further away. It may or may not be ideal. I know some of the local universities, UCLA, USC, Loyola Marymount, have already been identified and will be hosting some of the teams. Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Councilor Mullins.
Quick question, and I'm not sure if you know or not, but you probably do. Beside the benefit of having bringing in the teams to practice here, of course, it's going to help our businesses, our hotels. Do we get paid for using our facilities, or this is something you basically volunteer our facilities for their use?
I don't have the correct answer right now off the top of my head. I think for use of our facilities, we do have the ability to waive rental rates. What I believe the city we'd want to do is collect charge for direct costs. Mm-hmm. So, for example, our pool would be available. I think we're very proud of our aquatic facilities, particularly Verdugo Aquatic Facility. So we would make that facility available to the teams. Where we would collect is direct costs. So we have to have lifeguards on deck because it's our facility, and I'm sure these Olympic swimmers know how to swim. But it would be our practice to have our policy to have our lifeguards there, or opening up facilities at a certain time or closing them. So we would certainly be working with them. But in terms of charging, I think it would be would look at that, but I think it's something that we would love to kind of put ourselves further on the map. Mm-hmm. As a city.
That's absolutely.
Sure.
I mean, I was not sure if they actually rent, but we're in the business of cost recovery, not generating that extra money. It'd be nice to do it, but definitely this would be great for our community to bring all these people here. Would help our businesses.
Correct. And I think just another added benefit is working with those countries, the teams, to maybe, engage with our community, whether it's just having some residents invite them to view their training sessions if that's something that the cities would be, the countries would be open to. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for our local residents to be a little bit more involved in the LA 28 Olympics and Paralympics.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, great questions. Any other, Councilmember Anthony?
I know some countries have a bigger budget with their Olympics than other countries. So yeah, having an affordable way for them to get in here, I think would entice some good partnerships. Separate from that, has any consideration gone out to the countries that host our sister cities and asked them directly, hey, we partner with one of your cities locally, we'd love to entice you to come to Burbank?
So how this works in terms of reaching out to the different countries, the City of Los Angeles staff, they have their own internal, so through, there's so many different committees, subcommittees as part of LA 28. So you have like the international organizations that are involved. LA 28 committee is a nonprofit group, if I'm not mistaken. Then you have City of Los Angeles staff that are staffing a lot of these subcommittees. We have our internal city group has already had a meeting. We met with Mayor Bass's team last year. So we had that initial meeting. We gave them our contact information, our facilities that are available, and certainly are open to any country that is looking for a venue. In addition to having in-person or virtual meeting with the LA City staff, there's also a form that we had to fill out through a portal. So we've done that twice already. And so I can tell you that staff is very active and aggressive in a good way, trying to invite or making some of these countries know about our facilities. To Councilmember Anthony's comment, there are many athletes from some countries that the country does not sponsor the Olympics. And the athletes themselves have to pay their way. So those are some of the countries that we're actively targeting, where we can, again, offer our facilities at no cost and just really recover our direct costs. So there's a difference, right? A larger country that has a lot of money, I am fairly certain that they'll be staying in and utilizing some of the state-of-the-art facilities that are available nearby.
Great questions. Yeah. One more from Councilmember Zadi, and then I'll go to the Vice Mayor.
Just from an economic standpoint, do we have a team, just thinking outside the box, maybe could we be the official city to host guests and maybe partner with hotels to supply transportation to garner, more people to stay here, to be more attractive? Is there any thought to that?
Yes, I can assure you that the team of city staff that we're working together, and like I mentioned, we've been meeting since last year, and we can't call ourselves, like there are certain parameters and legalities with proprietary information, so I'll just share that. And so we're working within those confines to make Burbank a destination. We are very fortunate, I will say, that having an airport, while not an international airport, we have an airport in our city, so we know people are going to be flying into Burbank. And we have a lot of major attractions nearby. We are working with hotels. I know the economic development staff, as Mr. Berkman mentioned in the staff report, we're all subject matter experts, and so we're using our expertise to promote and make Burbank that destination point. I will note that We all know that the World Cup is also coming to Los Angeles in 2026, and currently the World Cup for club soccer is taking place in the U.S. Pasadena is the Rose Bowl is a host site. So we're using the World Cup next year as, kind of like a dress rehearsal. So we are, fortunate that we have that. So we're going to be targeting that. And I can tell you that next year, there's going to be a lot of soccer, soccer themes, soccer. You're going to see soccer everywhere in Burbank. Again, as like a dress rehearsal. And we're lucky that we have, that Los Angeles is hosting the World Cup in 26, or a host city in 26, because it gives us the opportunity of trying different things and seeing what works, what doesn't work, and what other cities are doing, and looking to implement that for the 28 Olympics.
Council member, may I? Also, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention that Mr. Prescott's transportation planning team is very engaged with our regional partners, Metro, Metrolink, SCAG. The possibility of us being an actual hub, one of the things that they collaborated with SCAG on is a mobility hub implementation guide, which a potential conceptual mobility hub in our city. So having Burbank be a center hub, if you will, is something that we will look to further develop with our major transportation agencies.
Thank you, Councilmember. Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Great questions. And following up on the transportation hub concept, is there also a partnership with the airport authority, and how is the airport going to play into this as potentially one of the airports for the Olympics people will be flying into? Because it's not an international airport, but there are probably a lot of connected flights from international that would come into Burbank, I would imagine, or even domestics for people who want to watch.
Welcome, Mr. Prescott.
Good evening, Mayor Perez, members of the City Council. Patrick Prescott, Community Development Director. I can't speak to what the airport's specific plans are with regard to the major sporting events that are going to be taking place in Southern California in the next couple of years, including another Super Bowl, World Cup, and the Olympics, 2028 Olympics. I can tell you that they participate with us in our Visit Burbank tourism bid, right? That's right. Okay. Just want to double check. And so we are very keenly aware of the opportunity that these events present to the city of Burbank. The Visit Burbank tourism bid is all about heads and beds, as they say, right? And so we are definitely taking advantage of the opportunity to promote Burbank as the place you would prefer to stay in the Los Angeles region during these events.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. That's my only question.
Oh, I was going to ask if I could follow up on one, actually. Just to follow up on that in transportation, do we have a sense? I know it's very early for the sake of our staff. I know this is a very early conversation, and that a lot of the information we're relying on from the city of LA and from their departments is very preliminary. Do we have any sense of which lines, metro lines, or which areas in our city might be really key for them, even streets?
Madam Mayor, not at this time, but again, the transportation planners are working with our partners, the mobility hubs. The big task, of course, is having an influx of folks coming into our region. How do we get them around to the events? And that's very much a focus part of the conversations with our partners, as I mentioned, with SCAG, Metro, Metrolink, and LA County for sure as well. So that's in development and something that we would definitely make part of our quarterly reports with you.
And I ask knowing that, I get the SCAG updates too. So I know it's really early, but, if you ever have any information on kind of once we get more concrete details, it'd be really interesting to know where we're going to be the most impacted.
Sure.
Councilor Mullins.
Madam Mayor, I could also add to what Mr. Berkman said. I'm the the liaison for the Arroyo Verdugo. So we do have presentations from Metro and from LA County. And as he indicated, it's so early on. Right now, what they're trying to focus on the giving cards for people to use, how the method of paying, and how they promote Metro to encourage people to not drive and actually take the buses everywhere during that time. So once they come up with some information, I'm happy to share it with council when I report out on my meetings. And then also, I know Mr. Krisky attends our Arroyo Verdugo meetings, so he hears the same conversation along with presentations from our SCAG representatives. So they haven't yet talked about any of these details. It's kind of, like you said, it's way early right now.
Yeah, and the only reason I asked was because we did have a mayor's convening on this with Mayor Karen Bass, and they had the representative from Metro, and there were some specifics when it came down to South LA and how that was working. Haven't heard anything about the Valley yet. Us in the North are still a little bit, tapping our fingers, waiting to see what happens. But, I heard there was some mobility down there, and that they were mentioning specific lines and stations down in that area. So, whenever that message comes up here, would love to hear it. Similar question. I know we've been in talks with the folks from the 2028 committee on the adaptive sports piece. That's a big, big piece for Burbank. I have to tell you, in the 88 mayors convening, I was the only mayor to ask about adaptive sports and about the Paralympics. So I think it's something we could really capitalize on that, and I just wish you could share a little more about what's going on there and updates.
Absolutely. We're very proud of our adaptive sports program in Burbank, which is only like 3 years old, and it's come a long way. As many of you know, we currently offer wheelchair rugby, power chair soccer, and para fencing at McCambridge Recreation Center every single Sunday. It's free, it's drop-in. I'm really happy to share that this summer we're going to be introducing boccia as a fourth adaptive sports that will be available at McCambridge. And boccia also happens to be a new addition to, will be included in the LA28 Paralympic Games. So para fencing and boccia are really popular in Paralympics, and so we're really happy that we will be adding a new sport that again will be featured in the Olympics. Also, as you are very familiar, we do our annual Adaptive Sports Expo. Typically, that's done in the beginning of the year, like February is when we've done it. What our plans are for 2028 is to schedule the Adaptive Sports Expo in the summertime, so it coincides with the Paralympics. So really, those are just some of the things that we're doing with regards to Paralympics and aligning it with the LA28. Additionally, we mentioned, or I briefly mentioned, the World Cup in 2026 and the World Cup for club soccer teams that's taking place right now. As some of you are aware and attended that event, we recently welcomed a club soccer team, so Club de Fútbol Monterrey, also known as the Rayados, who is participating in the FIFA Club World Cup 2025. They, in partnership with Angel City Sports, held a community event a couple of weeks back at McCambridge Recreation Center. It was a community event, and their mission really is inclusivity. So that event that was held at McCambridge Park included amputee soccer, wheelchair soccer, and power chair soccer. So I believe on an international level, we've already put ourselves on that map for adaptive sports by hosting the club soccer team, and we hope to do many more of these types of partnerships in the future. Also, I believe a week ago, there was a press release that came out sharing the news that the city of Burbank was selected as one of the 26 champion organizations, and it's a grant that was awarded by the LA Club, LA World Cup 2026 host committee and Play Equity Fund. And that grant that we were awarded, again, one of 26 cities or organizations. We were one of 2 cities, the rest were organizations. And that grant, the intent of that grant, it's focused on soccer, and it's really to bring soccer to underserved communities, whether it's just communities that don't have, open spaces, maybe a gender, so there's like a lot of female teams, but also Burbank, we are one of a couple, I believe, where adaptive soccer was our focus. And so this grant, which grants the city $26,000, that will be used to really promote our adaptive soccer in our community. We hope to leverage those dollars, leverage this selection as a way to further expand our, or get the word out for our adaptive sports in the city of Burbank. So.
Thank you, Ms.
Sure.
Garcia. I know quite a little bit about that, but I just want to give you a chance to toot our own horn because
I'm very happy to toot our horn. We've done a lot of great things in Parks and Rec and the city, and we appreciate the council's support.
100%.
Sure.
I know when you were saying earlier that we'll be doing soccer things in 2026, I was like, oh, Parks and Rec is already there. We're already doing things. So thank you for everything you're already doing to prepare us for both the World Cup and the Olympics. And I think it's a great starting point to really get us on the map. And it's been fun to be at all the events. All right. Any other questions from council? No? Okay. So I will say, I want to start the conversation by saying I know the staff report that was put out may have said mayor's task force on there, but I want to correct the record. That's not what we're looking at. And really the kudos for asking for this item goes to our vice mayor. Vice Mayor Takahashi asked for this item, has been proactively following a lot of the Olympic things. Even though I've gone to some of the convenings on some updates, I know you've been asking about this. And so I do want to pass the floor on to the vice mayor because this is her item, and tell us why you brought this up and what start off the discussion, Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Great, thank you. And thank you so much to staff for following up on this item. I know I've been kind of tooting this horn for a while, and I think it was been a year since I brought the item up. But you have been working behind the scenes very clearly. You've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and I appreciate that so much. So agencies and cities around the region, as you know, and as you mentioned, are working on this. Every city, every agency that's involved is working on this and talking about it. So to know that our staff is on it is so important. And looking at, as you mentioned, looking at the issues such as transportation and venues and hotels and tourism and just general infrastructure, it takes years to get this all coordinated for a big event like this. So the fact that we're starting now is so great. It's going to take some time to get all that in order, and the coordination is essential. In Burbank, we have our airport, 3 Metrolink stations, 2 freeways. We are very much one of the central transportation hubs. It's so important that we recognize that, and I'm so glad to hear that staff is focusing on that, in addition to the others as well. We also have a lot of opportunities around tourism and hospitality and community celebration, and so I think that's going to be a great time for us all as well. And I also appreciate, I know that the staff is doing a lot of other things, so I appreciate the staff putting the time to attend these meetings and coordinate with all the agencies, and it probably feels a little chaotic right now with everybody doing a bunch of different things. So I appreciate the staff attending those and keeping us updated, and looking forward to those quarterly reports. I didn't ask, are the quarterly reports going to be here in chamber or on the WAMR?
We'd prefer to do them here,
Okay,
so
great.
everybody
Perfect.
could hear. there was a lot of good questions. So this is kind of exciting that I'd like to have the full council weigh in on these things. I'd probably end up, if not a staff report, if you're amenable to it, is do it similar to like how we do the airport authority, kind of at the beginning, at least for now, as far as this presentation. So at least for this first year of quarterly reports, if we have to get into more in-depth stuff where you're actually making more decision making, I'd prefer to move it to a staff report.
Perfect.
I love that. That way we force, our full chamber to listen to the updates too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like Councilmember Mullins, I'm on other committees that are also talking about this. So I'm on the San Fernando Valley COG, where we have a subcommittee that I initiated, on the SCAG Environmental Committee that we're talking about that as well. The Valley Economic Alliance, we're talking about that, and economic development through the Valley. So having all of us participate in different ways on different committees that are all talking about this and coordinating it, and having staff be kind of that central place to coordinate that all is really key. So we are uniquely situated in Burbank as a transportation hub, the adaptive sports. I'm so excited about that. We're going to be like highlighting during that part. And the hospitality and tourism promotion. This is such a great opportunity. I'm excited to be at the beginning of this process. So thank you again to staff and to the council for hearing it and asking great questions. I'm looking forward to the continued updates and the continued progress on this item.
Any other discussion, thoughts, Councilor Mullins?
Are we, we're addressing right now, like, kind of the recommendation and what staff has done so far. I mean, obviously, they have been doing a lot of work, and it was nice to hear all their hard work that was done behind the scene. I have full confidence in staff that they will come back and report on the progress, as we will listen and participate in the discussions on all the committees that we serve on. But in my opinion, for right now, is we don't really need a task force, because there's not much that any of us can do. Whether it's a mayor, a vice mayor, or a council member, I think staff has it under control. When the time calls for one, I think we should move forward towards that direction when they come in and provide the report. So my opinion right now, keep up what you're doing. I think it's great. We'll continue getting updates. We hear something, we'll let you know. Report on it here, and then we'll find things as we need to move forward from that point on. Thank you.
Any other thoughts from colleagues? Councilor Anthony?
Yeah, just at some point, Mr. City Manager, I'm going to need your gold and silver picks for which countries you are going to be backing. All right, thank you.
We don't pick favorites here. Yeah, except for Team USA. Let's see. Councilor Rosati, any comments?
No, I concur with Councilmember Mullins. You know, we have some time before we start actively putting a force together, but thank you.
Yeah, and it sounds like the vice mayor was fulfilled with the report and in staff's update. The only thing I would suggest to my colleagues thinking forward, since we all agree it seems like a preliminary time right now, we're also, I think we're ahead and we're ready to go. The city of LA is telling us, give us a minute, so as we wait for that, maybe as we get a report in the future, we may even think about having a council subcommittee. So maybe there's a couple of us who are very gung-ho about this and want to talk about it in the future. I know that's something we've done in the past for other things, where we meet as two council members talking about it and then come back to council. So just a thought, I think maybe at a future update, something we can bring up, and then that might be the impetus for a task force as we get closer. All right, so do you need a vote from us on anything? Note and file? Okay. All right.
We have direction. We're good.
Perfect. Let's move on to our second report. Our second report to council tonight is the consideration of establishing a creative industry task force and approval to amend the fiscal year 2024-25 adopted budget and appropriate $92,500 for consultant services. I welcome Ms. Mary Hamzoian, Economic Development Manager of the Community Development Department, to present the report. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Perez,
Vice Mayor Takahashi, and members of the City Council. Thank you for having me here tonight. This is new, so I have to put on my reading glasses to start. Thank you. So I'm here tonight to present a proposal to establish a creative industry task force. The purpose of the task force will be to identify and analyze the emerging needs of the creative industry sector in Burbank and how the city can create an environment to continue to attract and support this industry. As many of you know, Burbank's creative industry is a vital driver of our local economy. This sector includes not only film and television, but also animation, video games, design, augmented and virtual reality, content creation, music, marketing. I can keep going on, but there's much more. It also supports more than 65,000 jobs and thousands of local businesses in our community. However, in recent years, the creative industry has faced significant challenges, from the pandemic disruptions and labor strikes to the relocation of productions out of state and also overseas. These impacts cause ripple effects through many parts of our local economy, affecting not only those directly involved in entertainment, but also our small businesses. At the same time, the industry is also undergoing rapid transformation. Advances in technology and the rise of social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are empowering a new generation of content creators. Emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence are also reshaping how content is produced and changing the nature of creative jobs. Given this evolving landscape, it is critical that Burbank stay ahead of the curve by fully understanding both the challenges and the opportunities that lie ahead. The task force will allow us to do just that by bringing together industry leaders and key stakeholders from across the entire creative industry to identify needs, set priorities, and develop actionable strategies to strengthen and grow our creative economy. The task force, if approved, is proposed to begin in July and will serve as a temporary, focused ad hoc group that will operate for a year. The task force will be comprised of about 20 to 25 individuals who will discuss and determine the major topics that are impacting the creative industry. Focus groups will emerge from the task force. That's where all the work gets done. So they'll do the research and analyze the key focus areas and provide recommendations to the task force and staff. Some of the recommendations from the task force may be implemented in real time, which staff will work on as soon as possible, while other recommendations will most likely require council direction and will be brought back before the end of the year. Establishing a task force is directly aligned with the council-adopted 5-year economic development strategic plan, specifically goal number 4, which emphasizes retaining and expanding Burbank's creative sector. To move forward, we are requesting authorization from Council to enter into an agreement with Stratoscope, the consultant that assisted in developing our economic development plan, to approve a budget amendment of $92,500 to fund consultant services for the task force. The request to establish a task force was brought forth by Mayor Perez. Thank you for that. And we want to ensure direct council engagement and leadership throughout the process. Therefore, we are also recommending that council select 1 or 2 representatives to participate on the task force. By establishing this task force, Burbank reaffirms its commitment to supporting and growing what remains one of the most important and dynamic industries in our city. Additionally, the task force sends a message to the creative economy that the city supports them and is looking for ways to help them thrive. Thank you. I am available to answer questions along with John Boeri from Stratoscope and Assistant Community Development Director Simone McFarland. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amzoian. Before we go on to council questions, we have our public comment period, and I will say the public comment period is now beginning. I know there's some folks in the audience. If you haven't yet turned in a yellow comment card, speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, that was your time. There will be no more comment cards accepted, and being that there are 3 comment cards, everybody will get 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Cale Thomas, followed by Greg Zakowski.
Hi, I'm Cale Thomas. I'm the co-chair for the political legislative subcommittee for IATSE Local 706. I also work on the city operations team for Stay in LA and CA United, which is kind of a coalition of small business owners that it's stakeholders within that provide production services for the film industry. Mary, it's nice to meet you in person. Thank you so much, Nikki, for having us here. I appreciate all of you. The reason why I'm coming to kind of speak on behalf of this bill itself, we've been working a lot with the county, the city, and the incorporated cities. And we've been encountering a lot of the same kind of core issues that we're starting to find within your jurisdiction as well. The main issue that we're finding is that a lot of the analysis that is being done on your specific departments, whether it be PD, FD, parks, et cetera, are doing regional analysis comparisons. We don't live in a regional marketplace anymore. We live in a global marketplace. So it doesn't help anybody to look at why Long Beach does this or Ventura does this or does that. We need to start looking at what everybody else is doing abroad. Because one of the main reasons, and you had a location manager up here speaking directly to you in regards to this, and I spoke to him outside for, like 5 minutes. And we saw eye to eye on every single thing. It's not going to come back to the capacity in which it came back before. We have to be very honest about that fact. But what we can do is that we can make this city the pilot program for all the other cities. She mentioned the 88 and 28. They are doing something like that for the film industry at the county level. I highly recommend we all participate in that. It's not going to come back into the capacity to which it has before. I can tell you this, more people have been affected by the downturn in the film industry in the last 3 years than all the people in the Altadena and Palisade fires combined, tenfold. This is a big, gigantic problem. And no one's coming to save us. This is what I'll offer. Don't worry about what Sacramento's going to do for us. We need to really worry about what Burbank is going to do for itself and what kind of leadership it can offer to other people, because ultimately what this is about jobs. This is about our community and our infrastructure. And it's an ecosystem that is reliant on all of us working together. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you for your comment. I love your ringtone. Our next speaker is Greg Zakowski, followed by Meredith Levine.
All right. Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I want to thank Nikki Perez because she came out to the Cinegear event that my film industry hosts, and it's equipment and thousands of people going, and it was crowded. It's the back lot at Universal. And unless you've been to one of those things, and you guys, I can get you invites for next year because I know people, whatever. But it's a chance to see who the humans are in the businesses, and there are thousands of us, and you don't know who they are because their business is on Magnolia with no storefront because everything's rented out the back door into trucks and trailers. But you know them because they're the fathers and mothers of the people at the elementary schools and junior highs. It's where my kids went. Go Bears, Burros. But what I'd like to say to you guys, and I guess this is also to you guys, that if you're going to get this contract, unless we as a city embrace the idea that you have to partner with the people in the business, you won't know the problems that you have to fix. And the thing that I loved about Nikki coming out to that event was she started to see, your father's been in 399, our business is different than every other business you deal with. You're not bringing in a company to build chips and put it over by the airport. It's not the Amazon warehouses. It's a bunch of smaller businesses that create and disappear. I will tell you that I've worked in LA since '89 when I arrived. I have not worked in LA meaningfully for 2.5 years because all my work has been in Atlanta, Missouri, and New Mexico. And what that tells me is that they're doing things that we can do. They just happen to do it. 2.5, 3, 4 years ago, this city was booming, even during COVID, for filming, because we took for granted what we did. Well, the rest of the world said, let's take it away. Texas just passed $1.5 billion. So what can we do? So when you put this commission together, and I highly, highly recommend you do it, because you guys are on the cutting edge. I've talked with staff. I've talked with Nikki's team, and I don't know you guys, but you have neighbors in this city that work in the business. So what we have to do is address the process of shooting here and the image. So part of their task is going to be making sure my business and the producers that I talk with don't go, I don't want to shoot in LA, it's too hard. I want them to go, I don't want to shoot in LA, I want to shoot in Burbank. And that's the big difference. He just smiled. I didn't have to look at him. I know he smiled because that's the message, right? I want people to go, I want to shoot at Burbank boroughs, right? They get 10 grand. We support our arts and business. You don't have to raise taxes to support all that. The idea here being is, do you remember the TV show Glee? It was based on an idea that came out of the program at boroughs. That was a homegrown show, right? That's us. The Sphere in Vegas, the Sphere is based out of here. It's right next to the airport, even though the sides of it blew off in the wind 3 or 4 times in a row. There's samples. You can buy them as souvenirs. But the point I'm getting at for you guys is make sure whatever you set up, you reach out to people. I'm a part of the same group that Kale is, CA United. I'm a member of the DGA and the TV Academy. I know the humans you need to talk to so you can get the figures and numbers. Let me help you. Let us help you. Good luck, guys.
Thank you for your comment.
Good luck, guys.
All right. Our next speaker and our last comment card is Meredith Levine. Welcome,
Hi.
Meredith. You have 3
My
minutes.
name is Meredith. I'm a philanthropologist. I do audience development, research, and strategy work in entertainment and in the creator economy. And I'm fresh off the heels of VidCon. And I wanted to make the council and the mayorship aware that it's not just Darman, it's Alan Chicken Chow that has 10,000 square feet in Burbank. It's also Second Try, which is the Try Guys reboot that has offices and production space in Burbank. It is also React, which is one of the legacy YouTube channels that has had space in Burbank for the better part of the last decade. And right next door in North Hollywood, we have Dropout TV, which is one of the most sustainable television networks that exists now. And I think that this task force is going to be incredibly helpful. And I think that entertainment staying in Hollywood, especially in Burbank, is not just important for us as citizens of Burbank, but I think it's existential to the message of democracy in America, that we be able to tell stories from our perspective made by us for us here. And I wanted to make the council aware that there is a creator caucus at the U.S. congressional level to support and advocate for the creator economy. And if you were not aware, then now you are aware that we are advocating for this industry at the congressional level. And the unique needs that the creator economy industry has is, again, like the traditional television and film people said before, it's a very different industry in film and in television. It's also a very different industry in the creator economy. We are new to unions. There are SAG regulations that are weird and hard to define and not particularly messaged well within our industry. And it is also a place where cost per minute is just dramatically smaller than in film and television. And so one of the things that I was delighted to find out is the Spark Labs at the Burbank Library and production facilities at the independent human level. And I think that that is really important to help draw creators and creatives to the city of Burbank and to make their art and commerce here. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. All right, that is my last public comment card. Now we'll go on to council questions, and then we'll get into the discussion. Does anybody have questions? Councilmember Mullins.
I have a few of them, but they should be quick. So what I want to know is staff would be ensuring the diversity representation across the board, and how would you do it? How are you going to ensure that we have representations from the gaming industry, YouTube, music, members of the union? What is the method of getting out there and forming the committee?
Thank you, Councilmember Mullins. So again, just like the Olympics Committee and LA28, we're working behind the scenes. So we've been doing business visits for several years now, and we've been asking very interesting questions to the businesses that we meet with about whether or not they'd be interested in joining potential future task forces and being a part of discussions about their industry and the creative economy. And a lot of the businesses that we do meet with are in the creative economy just because of the nature of the jobs that are here in the city. So we have a really good representation. As I mentioned when I was doing my speech, there are so many different subsectors. We can't have all of them represented on the task force because we only have about 20 to 25 individuals, but we will do our best for it to be as broad as possible. And those individuals that aren't on the task force will have an opportunity during our public forums to attend and discuss and give their input and their ideas. But we do understand that it is the creative economy, so we're not only going to focus on film and production, we are going to focus on animation and gaming and music, and marketing is another component of all of this, as well as, the newest content creators and the influencers. So we have a list that we've been putting together for a very long time, and we're going to try to invite as many people as possible. Some of them will be able to join the task force and put in the commitment, and others would like to attend during the public, opportunities for public comment and forum.
So would you be reaching directly then via email or invitation, private
Yes.
invitation to ask them if they want to be on the task force? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
We did talk about how many members, 20 to 25. I think it's a good number. It's a large number, but I think it's doable. I know that you mentioned there would be a recommendation to have at least a couple of council members. What would be the expectation and role of the council that would be sitting on the committee?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. John Boeri, I'm CEO of Stratoscope, and it's great to see you again. As you know, I had the opportunity to work with staff and all of you in the drafting of the original economic development plan that was approved last year. To answer your question, Councilmember Mullins, we want to make sure that the council is in the conversations to be able to, number one, really hear, sort of as the public comment was saying, directly from what's going on, right? Like the discussion that we're having. These meetings will be highly facilitated to make sure that we're actually getting the best information out to act on after the fact. And I think being that sort of connection with the policymakers and leaders of the city, the role is that of sort of listening in, liaison in. I don't think we're expecting the council to have the answer. In fact, I think that the members of the task force probably would prefer that you don't provide the answer, but listen to what they're experiencing, and then be able to sort of interpret that and work back with staff and with your colleagues when recommendations do come forth. I think Mary mentioned that the idea is that the task force has a year life, but we actually present recommendations probably within like 6 months. So there's some stuff that we can take care of right away. And so again, the liaisons are there to make sure that we're on track and the communication is open between the council and the task force.
Thank you. In regards to the public outreach and engagement, and this question we always ask you, and the outreach method, because you're trying to really do the outreach in a different segment of the community, so you have to do more of the media segment. So if you can just walk us through, are they going to be getting an email from you? Are they going to get well, I know you've been visiting, but at the time when we decide to have the public meetings, how are you going to invite them?
So I think there's a couple of ways that we can do it. Similar to how we did it during our economic development strategic plan when we were seeking input, we do have a list of individuals in these subsectors that we'll be reaching out to. We can also, send out an information through our public information office. We can send out a notice through the city council meeting to invite people to these public forums. We have two public forum workshops. Right now, tentatively, the first one is scheduled for August and the second one is scheduled for February of next year. So we will get the word out through all of our avenues that we typically do, through our public information office, through our economic development website, social media, to get as many people there to be able to attend. But we also want to keep it manageable. The more individuals that you have, the harder it is for everyone to speak and get their message across. So we will have two opportunities for the public to speak. And mostly the people that are in the sector, that are working in the creative sector. We know, the 65,000 jobs that we do have, a majority of those people do live in Burbank, so we want to get their perspective and understand what they're facing and what their challenges are as well.
Are we planning on having also a survey in addition to the public meetings?
I think our intention is to work with the task force to understand what their recommendation is to reach their community. We have some definite ideas, but I think if we don't want to get too far ahead of these experts in their community. I think one of the things you're hearing from the public comment members and just in the media, and I know a number of you have been tracking this in media stories and reports from Los Angeles and other jurisdictions, there is a strong network amongst this community. There is a connection. You know, I live in Burbank, as you know, and my block, there's people who are part of this that I get an earful for because they knew I was coming tonight. But there is this strong network that exists in many sectors, but I think it's been especially strong in the last year or two, very particularly in Los Angeles. And so we've actually talked to some of the leaders about how they might get the word out amongst their folks and then be able to take that information back. So we don't want to, again, there are the traditional tools of outreach, surveys, forums, websites with a lot of information. All of those are at our disposal. I think we want to hear from the task force what they recommend that we do to make sure we're reaching the voices that we haven't been hearing from, because I think that's key here. There's a lot of noise, and there's a lot of folks making important noise, but we also want to make sure we're hitting those. You know, the speaker mentioned the parents at the local elementary school. Those are my kids are at those schools, and we hear from them, you know, in drop off and pick up. How do we get their voice in part of this conversation?
Excellent. And will you include also our largest, the studios like Warner and Disney? And okay, so those will also be having a seat at the table, part of the 20 to 25, because we can learn, of course, from them as well. So this is something that coming to council in the couple of weeks, I think July 15th, which is the Chamber Film Commission that we had talked about back in March, I believe. So how will the task force coordinate with the potential Chamber Film Commission? If in the event, you know, council approves it, we move forward.
Yeah, great. I think it's a great question. I think there has to be coordination, obviously. I think in some initial conversations, again, not trying to put the cart before the horse, definitely seeing the chamber as one of the seats on the task force to begin with, and then also making sure that we're just staying in touch, because I think a lot of the outcome of the task force will also affect the shape of the commission potential commission as it's considered. And so I don't think these operate in silos, but together, and one might inform the other. I think the idea that this is short-term and intentionally so, that we'll hear very specific actions, and then this film commission is something that could potentially carry forward some of the recommendations that are longer-term, that do take, you know, that are beyond staff's capacity and take many years potentially. I hope not. But that would be a role for the film commission in addressing that. I do want to also highlight something that Mary made very clear too, that the Creative Economy Task Force might include some topics that are related to, but not directly film. So we talked about the sphere, and we talked about some of the other creative subsectors. We want to make sure that those are also being built up and supported. As again, another speaker mentioned, there is a change in this industry completely, and so how do we make sure we're still providing support for the emerging industries that are sort of coming in adjacent to traditional film and television, in addition to supporting film and television. And so the Film Commission, I know, is focused on the filming aspect. This task force will take on some of the things that may not be directly filming, but adjacent to and supportive of.
Including AI?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's okay. So this question is for staff. I know that at the last meeting we talked about the possibility of the Film Commission, the task force. We also talked about looking at our permit process, looking at our website, and working on enhancing the website and make it more welcoming for those who want to apply for a permit. They don't have to wonder if they're doing the right thing or not. So I'm wondering, as we're going through this process and having the task force, because obviously this is a whole journey, it's a whole year. In the meantime, have we done anything to improve our website? Have we done anything to look at our permit process? Have we evaluated the length of time that it takes to process a permit so we can be able to assist those that are working right now and need help? And I know it's not your department, right? It's police that handles that, but you know everything. So.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Patrick Prescott, Community Development Director. We work very closely with our colleagues in the police department who manage the film permits. They are aware of the need to improve the website. Originally, it was designed just to kind of get the film permit, and we're realizing it needs to be a little more than that. So they're aware of the need, and they're looking forward to improving that, as well as the process. About 5 or 6 years ago, the economic development team worked very closely with the police department to improve our process, and we're aware that we need to revisit that and make additional improvements again. So we're looking forward to working on that soon.
Okay, so we are not going to just wait until we hear the recommendations and then we go back and, so we're going to.
No, Councilmember,
Okay.
we're not waiting.
Thank you.
We already
Ongoing
know that
enhancement.
needs to be done. As a result of the task force, we may realize we need to do additional, but we already know there's some things that need to be done.
Great, thank you.
And I'll just add to that, that police department's already looking at the website. They already have some ideas that they want to bring forward. So that's already in process, as Mr. Prescott indicated.
Okay, and one area with, just in addition to the website, also a response time and the staff that's working behind the scene to approve the permit, because that's what that delays the actual production, the response time.
And I'll just add to that, Simone McFarland with Community Development. I didn't introduce myself, but yes, we're already looking at those. We're already having conversations. We've already had actually a couple conversations with the film groups, different groups. The mayor introduced us to one. And we've talked to some other people on our own, and we expect to do more interviews, one-on-ones also, as we're moving through this process. But we've already talked to with police department and fire department. We've had conversations about how do we improve that, and those things will be coming to you. We're not going to wait until the end and then say, oh, we're going to do this whole study and then we'll find out. No, it's going to be interactive as we move forward, because we realize that we need to do these improvements now, that the industry is hurting, and we need to fix some things and do what we can for the industry now.
Great, thank you. I have one more question and then I'll give another time. One thing I also, or I should say, in addition to everything that you're going to be talking about, and this also, I believe it might be on something you'll be discussing on the agenda, I think it's important to look at zoning issues in regards to the sound stages, if there's companies who are in need of additional parking or lack of parking, or spaces that is available that we can perhaps make a list of, and this is something the city has to step in and do, look at list of where we can provide them locations and make it accessible for them. And if there's going to be some recommendation perhaps to come to council, if we need to take a look at our zoning during our strategic planning, that is something very important, because I know I personally dealt directly with Mary and the staff in trying to find locations for individuals that need some help and need to have parking, accessibility, and because of our zoning, it makes it difficult. So I think it's really important to look at those, issues that we have to evaluate, and it would be part of our discussion and recommendation to come back to council. Okay, I'm done for right now. That doesn't mean I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mullins. Who has questions? Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Great questions. I was crossing off some of mine because you asked them so great. Same lines. Yeah. Great. So thank you for the presentation and the information. I'm really encouraged and thankful for you for asking the question about the short term as well, to make sure we're addressing things as they come up and not waiting till the end to do it all. And a few questions about the inclusion of who's going to be on the task force. Councilmember Mullins asked about the larger organizations, and I'm wondering if there's also going to be inclusion of micro businesses. We have small businesses, but there's micro businesses too, and they actually have a different need. So, small business would be under 50 or under, and micro business I think is 10 or less, something like that. So, is there going to be inclusion of that as well?
Yes, Vice Mayor Takahashi. There is an intention to engage with all levels of business, from micro to small to medium to large, if you will.
Great, okay. And then also, is there going to be intentional inclusion of newer businesses, maybe businesses that have recently come into working in our city to see what their experience has been to be brand new?
I think the answer is yes again.
Yes, okay.
We're really, to offer more than I should, sorry guys. I think the intention is to cast a really broad net and really understand these segments. It's also, we're going to try, it's sometimes difficult to even talk to businesses who've left to figure out what happened. Those are harder, as you can imagine, to identify, but that is part of our sort of outreach strategy, is to make sure if you're going to get the full picture, you have to look at folks from across sector.
Great. And then more and more production is being done remotely. So is there going to be inclusion as well as folks who choose to be located here even though their work may be remote, and how that remote work might be impacting us versus deciding to, work in Atlanta or something to work on a production that, rather than being here. Because on the ground, folks filming and whatnot, it needs to be here, but if we also want the production and the back end as well to be here, is that going to be included as well?
I think if I want to clarify my answer. All of them will be engaged. We only have 20 to 25 people on the task force itself, but those the focus groups and the workshops and other outreach will engage those people as well.
Great. Yes. Okay, good. Because I would be really curious, how that part of the production of the various creative industry working remote, how they choose to be located, where they choose to be located, and why, and if it's a way to be helpful to be local, even if it is technically an online or remote work, how it would be helpful to be local. Yeah. And then lastly, for your task force is, in addition to kind of the concrete changes that we could make in the industry, is there also going to be kind of a discussion around any potential policies or any potential kind of ordinances or kind of regulations that we have in the city that might be worthy of considering to adjust in order to make it easier to produce here?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? One question?
So I had this question written down, but I believe it was Cal that mentioned it, not to measure why the businesses just left to go to another state, but more internationally. And my question was, how has the relocation production out of state or internationally impacted local studios, vendors, and workers? I think beside just hearing and reading in a newspaper that people are losing their jobs, we don't have filming, I also would be interested to find out the actual impact, like laying off 500-600 employees or closing their doors. I think it's important to identify the cause and effect of what happened and how it really cost us here in the city of Burbank locally. And then also, the barriers are facing some of these companies in the production. I was on a call last week with one of the very successful YouTube companies, Methodical, and I asked the question, is it a matter of funding? Do you need funds? Are you looking for the state, all the money they're passing around, but we haven't seen yet, I think. And the answer was no, we're doing great. We just need a couple of things from the city and our life will be, a lot better. We love it here in Burbank. We don't want to go anywhere else. I also want to measure and hear these stories because we're always assuming it deals with money, financial, which the majority probably deals with financial. But there's other things that the city can actually help, and those sort of good stories to gather and hear from the companies that tell us, or the smaller business that tell us, here's our issues and here's what we need your help in. Thank you.
One more question?
That spurred a question for myself as well. Thank you. Another consideration is that the creative industry is really unique in that there's a lot of folks who work from home, and also owning a business from home, it has a lot of particular requirements about how you have your home business. So that'd be great if that can be included in looking at how that might be a barrier
to folks who are thinking they want to, say, do post-production, or they want to do costuming or something, and they need to have that workshop in their garage. Are we creating a barrier for them to do that? Thank you.
All right. Seeing no more questions, we can move on to our deliberation discussion. So, did you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to mention one. It was something that the vice mayor just mentioned, and I wanted to save it for deliberation, but I think it's a good follow-up, is all.
Question or
It's not a
follow-up?
question. I saved it for deliberation.
Then we'll get to deliberation. I'll give myself the same fairness I gave the vice mayor. And given that this was my item, I'll start off why I decided to bring it up, and why this was so important to me. I brought this back up, and thank you, Mary, for mentioning February 27th of 2024, when I started thinking very heavily about the fact that this city has many commissions, task forces, subcommittees even amongst ourselves in the council, and other bodies that have looked at different issues in the city. We even have domestic violence, we have had senior commissions, you name it, but we have never really sat down to talk about our media and entertainment industry. And I use that term broadly, like you all mentioned. I think of the studios as much as I think of a commercial shoot, as much as I think of a video game company, as much as I think of the YouTube folks who are, thank you for mentioning all of those folks who are here, because that's who I think of when I think of the media industry. It's all of us. And if we took all of these businesses, all of these micro businesses, all of these folks who live in our community, I would gather that half of our community is working in some way, shape, or form in the media industry, and if not, impacted directly by the media industry. And so to me, it was really important to bring something together that is from the city. And I'll take a second to answer a little bit of Councilor Mullins' question, because I've heard this from the chamber as well. How is this different from a film commission? A film commission would be an independent body, and to Mr. Boire's point, could attack maybe items that are outside of our purview, are maybe larger political in nature, or are even financially working with the industry. That's really their goal, to be that voice outside of the city. For me, I wanted a task force because I feel like there should be a room and a space for our industry to come to us as a government and say, I want to be part of this, and I want to tell you what's wrong. I want to tell you what's going on. I want to get to the nitty gritty and talk about the issues that we're seeing on our day to day. And so that they could come up with a list of 10, 3, whatever it is, major recommendations for us to then tackle on this dais. The same way we ask sustainability to come up with their goals for the year, the same way we ask these folks to come up with ideas that we can then work on and decide. Thought it was really important to have that group of people. And I'm extra excited about the way we're doing this because I think it's great to have those 20 to 25 people in the room, and I really want to be in that room to listen to them and hear them out, because I have learned so much in the last year of talking to, just having these conversations, attending events, meeting with folks about what they need, and I'm excited to continue doing that and seeing this issue through. But I also think it's great that this task force, with the allocated funds, allows us to go out and talk to people individually, have interviews, go beyond just the 20 to 25 people in the room, because inevitably folks will hear about this later. You know, they'll hear, oh, the task force is so great, I've heard so many things from my friend, but they're gonna bring a new perspective and an individual voice. So I think it's great that we're having the outreach meetings. I think it's great that we're doing one-on-one interviews, because it gives us 3 different avenues to tackle this at the city level and do what we can to spread awareness and to change I think now it's a misconception. I don't know that it's always been a misconception that the city doesn't care about the film industry or that we take it for granted. I think we have taken it for granted for many years. If not, this task force would already exist, right? And so I think this council is taking the step and deciding that we don't want to take this for granted anymore, and we want to move quickly, which is what I've heard from some of the questions from my colleagues. And so that's why I brought this forward last year, and that's why I've been pestering Justin about it for a year. Thank you for bringing it back and hearing me out almost every week, asking back for it. And I'm really grateful for the product that has come out of this. And I don't have any questions about it. I just hope that my colleagues will move forward in creating this task force and establishing it and in helping us really get those conversations going with a plethora of people in the industry. And I trust you all to talk to the folks in the back, talk to the folks who are probably watching tonight, talk to the folks who are not in this room, and get that task force built. And I would like to sit on it and see this whole project through. Councilor Mons.
Promise you, last question. What's the timeline for the process if this gets approved tonight? It just sounds like it, but tell me, when is this start?
So our tentative timeline would begin in July. So we would begin the process in July. We would send out invitations to individuals that we're trying to reach out to be on the task force. We'd have a focus group meeting in August, as well as a public forum workshop. And then our timeline ends next year in May. But we would bring back recommendations, larger recommendations to the council, most likely by the end of the year. And we'd be working behind the scenes for the next 6 months, trying to implement the low-hanging fruit as we hear things that are easy for us to discuss. For example, we have met with the folks at the back of the room. So we did have a meeting. Mayor Perez did invite us to a meeting to discuss some of the issues and the concerns that they're having. That's when we spoke to PD and Fire and addressed some of their concerns in that meeting with them as well. So again, we're going to start working on this right away. So as soon as this contract is approved and we can get the PSA signed, we're going to hit the ground running.
All right. Thoughts? Councilor Anthony.
First off, thank you, Madam Mayor, for pushing so hard for this. Being born and raised in Burbank, I know you have seen what this industry can do for people, how it lifts folks out of poverty, how it gives jobs to folks who otherwise would not be finding their place in a creative industry. So I'm happy that we're working towards this. Mary, I love the new glasses, very chic. And always fun to see you, John. I know you do absolutely fantastic work, not just for us, but a lot of the region. So seeing you on board with this gives us a lot of hope that this is going to be successful. You have like this golden Midas touch, so I appreciate that. You do a lot of good work. Kale, I've been talking about Atlanta, Vancouver, New Zealand, London, what these cities are doing. They see an opportunity in a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they're trying to take advantage. And I don't fault them for that. What I do fault is, like you mentioned, us taking it for granted. And not just us, but LA City, LA County, California State, resting on our laurels because we were pushing so hard for production to get back to normal after the pandemic. But I'll be honest with you, the industry in 2018, 2019, it was already suffering. We saw the indicators happening, and we kind of just turned a blind eye. And so now we're playing catch up, and I think we can catch up. I think we have the tools, the people, the wherewithal, and the ability to get there, especially with the consideration that it is media in general. It is a creative industry. It's not just film and television anymore. One of the things I wanted to follow up with was something the Vice Mayor said. There's 3 industries just off the top of my head of people that I have talked to, not recording music, but post-music mixing, independent video game productions, not the big boys, but like people who are just 1 or 2 folks working on independent video game. And then, honestly, online content creators and influencers, those 3 industries, they operate out of their garage. They work in their living room. They work in their bedrooms. I've talked to individuals who do all 3 of these, and I asked them, I'm like, oh, how are you registered or incorporated with your city, and what permits do you have? And I'll tell you, 90% of them are not. And I know what city they live in, and I'm like, you're operating a business illegally. You literally are, because I know the permit process for what you're trying to do. but they're so under the radar that they just don't go into the community development department and ask for a permit. The problem is, hey, I didn't give up any names. But I think the issue at hand is that if they did that, they wouldn't know where to start. And it could be so cumbersome for them to get to the point where they are operating legally that they just don't want to go through it. And they're such a small business, a micro business, to the vice mayor's point, that they would rather shut down than try to follow the rules, so to speak. So I think these kinds of changes, I think these are low-hanging fruit. I think it's very simple stuff that we can modify for folks who just want to do quick work. 2, 3, 4 day shoots. Those are the kinds of things that really get Burbank back on the map. I can't tell you how many times people always post the one scene from Back to the Future that it was shot in Burbank. I'm like, yeah, people love that. I met Josh Greenbaum, an up-and-coming director right now. He lives in Burbank, and he was shooting the most recent Ben Stiller film at the Tennis Center. And he said to me, the last movie I worked on, and most of my staff worked on, was, Challengers, which is the other tennis movie from last year. They shot that in Boston. He's like, I don't want to go to Boston. Everybody I've hired on this shoot here, they live 10, 15, 20 minutes away. They would rather take a pay cut and work from home and sleep in their own bed and see their family at night than fly across the country. And the problem is, these are the kinds of cities that are offering these incentives and making it easy to film. So the production company looks at the bottom line and they say, well, it's cheaper to go there. But at what cost? You're putting everyone at a disadvantage. And so he was grateful to be able to work. He lives on Verdugo, and he's like, it was great. It took me 5 minutes to get here.
I'm gonna start playing the Oscar game.
All right, I'm just saying.
Get to the point.
I think the small asks, the shorter shoots, the smaller businesses, that's how we build that industry out. That's how you get a diversified economy in the media and in the creative industry. So those kinds of different businesses that nobody else is targeting, because all these other cities are targeting the big productions. If we go after all these other ones, that's who we're going to get to come and stay.
And so I'm taking that as in favor of task force. Yeah. Councilman Rosati.
I'm in favor of the task force, and I think it's important that we look at our internal processes and do an analysis of how we get our permits. We had folks here tonight complain about that process. We've received emails from folks about that, so I think that's going to be an important role, what our city can do to make life easier, but I am in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosati. Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Okay, thank you. Yes. So we're the media capital of the world, we say?
Maybe the creative capital of the world.
Oh, you stole my thunder. I was going to say that. So yes, it's the media capital of the world. I see that we are also consider ourselves potential animation capital of the world, but creative capital of the world, right? And we say this in our promotion videos, and when we do the State of the City, that comes up as our media capital of the world, And to Councilmember Anthony's point, let's not rest on our laurels, and let's really, really live up to that identity that we have in ourselves. And when the world is all trying to be a part of this industry, which is fair, the whole world should, we are recognized as the leader in the industry. That even though everyone else is participating, we are the center location of it. And that's, I think, what is what we're looking at here. This makes sense, this approach makes sense in partnership with what the Chamber's working on as well. And I really appreciate the short-term focus on making sure the short-term things get addressed too, not waiting towards the end.
Thank you for including a couple of us on that as well. I also see this as the beginning of a much longer process, that this is a year, right? A year-long process. After this year, I have a feeling it's, like to the mayor's point, it's going to be an ongoing thing to have a continued input from our community. So it's not just going to be the 1 year you get to have input and then we put a plan in place and then that's it. This is an ever-evolving building of who we are and who our community is and making it better and better as we go forward. So I am in full favor, and I also am in favor of the mayor being on the task force as a representative. I also think Councilmember Anthony would be a great rep too because of your experience and your knowledge, clearly knowledge. But I think any of us on there would be great too. Maybe having somebody who doesn't have as much, one of us who doesn't have as much involvement. So we were like, wait, can you answer this question? Can you answer that question? I don't know, but
Could be a rotating alternate.
Okay, yeah, that's true. As the mayor, as the main, that would be open to that as well. But I think we're all very interested in this, so any of us could be a part of that, and we'd all probably really like it. So.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So that's 3 I have in favor of the task force.
Can I
and thank you for the-
interject something? So one of our questions tonight is for the council to select 2 city council representatives to participate in this creative task force. So as part of your conversation tonight, it would be really helpful for us to know who those 2 people are going to be.
Thank you. Well, let's let Councilor Mullins.
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, I think the mayor, whoever the mayor is, should be sitting in it. Definitely this current mayor who's brought this up multiple times. And to your point, Vice Mayor, I'm happy to serve on the task force, but I think having a rotating person, get someone in, because at a certain point, you do 2 or 3 meetings, you've got all of your information out, and you've said your piece. Let's swap somebody out and get some different ideas in. So I honestly think it should be a secondary rotating position.
Mr. City Attorney, is that a possible thing to do?
I'd like a motion and a second to create a task force first.
That was going to be my question. Did you want it all in one, or do you want the task force first?
I think the first action would be very quick and clean, and then you can deliberate on participants.
Great. Then yes, let's let Councilor Mullins make her comments.
Thank you. It's never late, right? I know we might be, behind, but I think it's what we're doing right now, and is actually exactly the right time, the right point where we need to do this, because it was not on our forefront early on to do something about it. But now I think it's great that we're having this conversation. And I do want to acknowledge staff. You guys have been out there meeting for months with the industry. It's not like, oh God, we're going to have to look for a list right now, and you're trying to get everything together. So thank you for being very proactive. Thank you for being out there and meeting with folks and talking to them and finding out what their needs are, including conversation with the chamber. And you've always been available to assist and answer. So I want to acknowledge staff for doing that. And I feel the same as everybody else. This is a great thing for our city. We may not save every business or every media industry here in Burbank, but I think it's good that we create this so we at least let them have a voice and let them come to us with issues that we may not have thought about. So this is a great opportunity, definitely, for all of us to be engaged and involved in the process. I absolutely don't mind having the mayor rotate, whoever the mayor is, that's fine. But I think before we walk down to the selection, there's a little bit of an issue coming up. And we need to talk about who's going to fill in that role until the baby's here. So I don't know.
Oh, girl. I'm not going anywhere.
No, you're not. You're not. But if they have a meeting during the month of August, and this is something, the vice mayor will step in the meeting until, of course, your return. So we need to take that in consideration of who else another person will be in the room.
So I actually spoke with staff about this during my pre-meeting, and there won't be a conflict of interest, or a conflict
conflict
of
of interest.
not interest, sorry, I mean
Yeah.
a conflict of scheduling. That was something I definitely took into consideration. As folks might know, federally, elected officials do not have maternity leave. So I will be taking some time, and then I will be right back at it. And I have my thoughts about that piece later, and I'm happy to talk about that at another time. But it means that I will still be here and present and ready for a meeting. Yeah.
In August.
Oh, yeah. If it comes up in August, but that's not the meeting of the task force. They have to send out those emails and kind of get it together first. That is the outreach meeting that is happening in August.
Madam Mayor, but more specifically to Councilmember Anthony's point, if the second person is an alternate, that alternate would naturally fill in for any vacancy.
Right.
I mean, any absence.
Right.
And I just want to make sure it, of course, you can't help the date and anything else, but just making sure so when we do the selection, it's something that at least we know that somebody has to fill in and who that person is, the alternate or whatnot. So it's something that we talked about.
And quite frankly, for this, and I hadn't shared my 2 cents on the selection, I would be happy with 2 of us serving, not necessarily an alternate. I think that's perfectly fine to have 2 council members sit in and hear. I mean, hell, if it wasn't a violation, I would love for all of us to sit in there and hear what folks have to say. But, I
would
definitely
just make it a council meeting.
Oh, God. Let's not do that to them and the public and staff. But I do think it's important to have 2 of us there present. I wouldn't even say an alternate. I think it'd be great to have two council members
I
assigned.
agree.
Yeah.
So I think the city attorney would want to make a motion to form the committee. So I'm happy to move to direct staff to enter into an agreement with Stratoscope to establish a creative industry task force and approve a budget amendment for fiscal year 2024-2025, appropriation of $92,500 for Stratoscope consultant service.
And may I add, as detailed in the fiscal impact section.
As detailed in the fiscal impact section.
Thank you.
Second. All right, motion and a second. Let's take a vote on this first part, and then we move.
There's one comment. Did you have any other comments
About the.
I have one comment I want to make before you vote, just real quick. Yeah. Okay, thanks. So just really quickly, this I remembered, we mentioned earlier about the creative capital of the world, and that's want to put a plug in here before we move on, is that for years, well, a couple of years before I was on council, and I was calling in cultural arts, I wanted to change our motto from live, work, play to live, work, play, and create. So I just want to put it out there. This is the time to put it out there. Can we do that again? Maybe consider that. And when we do our little videos and things, live, work, play, and create. So just want to put that out there. Thanks.
Also good discussion for the task force. Okay, are we ready to make a vote on this first part? Great.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Now let's pick 2 of us to sit on there. Of course.
Of course,
Who else
you're
wants to sit on there?
nominating yourself or nominate you.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy to nominate our mayor, Nikki Perez, to serve. I'm happy to serve as well, and with the caveat that once I've put in my 2 cents, I'm happy to rotate out. How could that be facilitated to make it easy? I mean,
So if the task force has a beginning and an end, that may frustrate them. It's going to bring somebody in who's going to want to provide fresh input to a process that's
Oh, I
already
see.
underway. So I would recommend you ask staff about that.
I also just want to remind council, there's 4 meetings where the city council representatives would be able to attend. In addition to the 4 meetings, there's also 2 public forum meetings, so a total of 6 meetings throughout the course of the year.
and let me ask you, that for us to be there is not necessarily to provide guidance, but rather to listen and maybe give input on how city procedure works and that kind of thing. So if there's 4, I'm counting 4 alternates, I'm happy to designate one of each of us for one of those 4 meetings. If that's, because we're not technically putting in new ideas.
Can I suggest this? Maybe you assign 2 people to be the liaisons and then 2 alternates, and then 2 of the liaisons elect to maybe not attend one of those meetings and leave it for the alternate.
Okay.
Sure. Who wants to be the other official liaison? Is that you? Okay.
Well, I'd like to be an official liaison as well.
Well, what I'm asking them is how we can make it so each of us can get to one of the meetings. That's
how we can get to one of the meetings?
Because they have 4 meetings.
Well, you can attend all 4 meetings. If you're unable to, then I think the alternate will go and just sit in the meetings.
Right.
No, they're not going to participate. They're going to, if you're not participating, you're going to listen to what the discussion is.
Mr. City Attorney, as a point of order and question, if a council member wishes to attend one of the meetings as a member of the public viewing, can they do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but they won't be like part of the panel or able to answer questions.
They won't
right?
be a participant. So the question is really as to the role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more council involvement, the more it is subject to being a public meeting.
So let me ask you, according to the Brown Act, sequential meetings. If by the time 4 meetings have happened, all 5 council meetings members have participated, is that a Brown Act violation?
No. If only one council member's there, it's not a meeting.
Okay, because
of the council.
that meeting in and of itself is self-contained.
All you've done is directed staff to enter into an agreement for staff and the consultant to set up a task force. You're not establishing the task force, you're funding them to do a task force. And then you're basically picking representatives to participate. The question is the nature of the participation. If they want a single voice the whole time, then you may frustrate the nature of council participation by rotating because it's a fresh set of eyes each time. So I don't know what the objective is.
I feel like we're doing both because if we have the mayor at every single one, you've got that single voice. But then at a separate instance, you've also got alternates coming, listening, and hearing.
So what I'm hearing is, and Councilor Rosati, do you have any interest in throwing your hat in the ring? Because I hear from the vice mayor that she's okay not doing so.
I mean, I'm good either way. I just want to I think what I heard tonight was they don't really want us participating. They want us there to listen and bring it back to the group.
Yes.
So in that case, we can sit there as a liaison or a member of the audience or of the public and do exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
So I don't think, right, participation from us wasn't really what you asked for.
Okay, so I'm going to get in here. So the way this is structured, the task force meeting, the 4 meetings where we're getting down with an agenda and we're okay. What do you think? Small business, micro business, large. We have that conversation. That'll be an iterative meeting, meaning that what we tackle in the first meeting, work will be done, and then we come back and bring it back at the next meeting where we have further refinement likely. It's likely after that second meeting that we would come back here, best laid plans, and give an update to the council, like here's our recommendations where we're going. The task force, as conceptualized, is intended to continue to meet to monitor how we're taking, after that first 6 months, into the next 6 months in terms of execution and refinement of the direction council wants us to take. There is in this process public meetings where all 5 of you could theoretically be there if you're not speaking, right? I'm going to the attorney now, city attorney, but
I'm not going to speculate till I see how it's created.
Perfect, great. But the concept being that we're having workshops, and some of you have seen some of the workshops we've done with small groups, and we're working through things, and others any resident or stakeholder could attend that meeting. So with regard to the participation in the 4 meetings, the goal is to have listening, number one, really soaking it in, and I think that's part of the intention. But also, I think to Councilmember Anthony's point is if there's a procedural question, but it's really not to say, here, we're going to do, it's really to listen and learn from the stakeholders that are not typically in a formalized role giving feedback.
And I can give an example of a procedural question. Let's say somebody in the task force who maybe is in the industry and doesn't know about the higher levels of government says, well, I'd love to propose that the city sends a letter of support for the film tax credit to the state. One of us can jump in and say, point of order, we've already done that, right? Like that's a task that's complete. That would be like the level of our input.
Yeah.
The rest is listening and hearing it.
That was exactly what I heard. So,
Yeah. So I, just to the mess and like the jumble, I think we should just select two folks to start it off.
I'd like to do the meetings. I'd like to do the meetings, and here's what I'd like to offer. You know, my old roommate was a second AD who became an editor. My other roommate was a sound technician who became a sound mixer. I was married to a script supervisor for 10 years. I've worked in the film and television industry for, wow, almost 30 years now, 1996. Yeah, coming on 30 years. I've worked at commercial, film, television, YouTube, you name it. I've done music, I've done dance. All of this stuff is
you're just listening. You're just listening.
Well,
yeah. And so what I'm saying is, what I'm offering is,
and bringing it back to us.
Right. Hearing what they're saying and understanding the community and what they're talking about. You're going to hear a lot of jargon in the room. You're going to hear a lot of phrases that. I understand.
Madam Mayor, may I also add something to the list of qualifications? You also were at the picket line in front of Disney and Warner, and I didn't want to go there, protesting against them. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to serve, go ahead and serve. But we're going to have those people sitting at the table, and I don't want them to feel uncomfortable because you happen to be one of the council members that have been appointed by this body to serve. Let's not, I didn't want to go there, but it is.
With the people who work at the
don't know that you
Okay.
do, but I'm going to leave it at that, and you can go ahead and serve on it.
Okay, before we get into it further, I am gonna, mayor's prerogative this, I want to serve on there because this is the thing, my baby, that I've been putting together, and I think that's only fair. The same way I'd give the same prerogative to all of you. Between the two of you, would you like to draw straws or pick a hat?
If he wants to do it, let him do it, but, I mean. If Councilmember Anthony, because he has a long list of qualification and jargons, it concerns me, and this is the reason I'm putting myself out there, that we're going to have these studios sitting at the table and they have expressed concerns about the council members demonstrating against them. So you all need to ask yourself, because I'm fine either way. If Councilmember Anthony wants to do it and you feel it's okay, you all heard what the studios have felt about the demonstration.
This might be a good opportunity for me to mend some of those bridges then.
So the best way to proceed, Madam Mayor, would be a motion and a second on each member.
Okay.
With a vote.
All right, I'll move first member to be mayor.
I guess I'll second.
I can second
Thank
it. You don't
I
have to second
appreciate
for
that.
yourself.
All right, motion and a second.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
And Mayor Perez?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. And I know I've bulldogged a little bit here, but I feel very passionately about starting this project, finishing this project through, and making sure that we do something for entertainment industry. It's one of my, you have your whiteboard, I have mine online, but it's one of the things I'm checking off. Okay. Let's move on to the second piece. I think since the discussion was brought up, I'd like to hear from this side of the room, since I feel like there's not as much, I don't know, I feel like you all have not expressed like interest in serving. So is there something you would like to see out of your colleagues who want to sit on there expressly?
Well, okay, I see you both have valid points, and I want to just confirm, you're both interested still, right? You still would like to?
I'm going to go ahead and pass and have Councilmember Anthony do it, but
Okay.
I did bring it up, and all of you have heard it.
Okay, and I think it's a valid concern, and just, I think that's a good reiteration to remind that when we represent on these kinds of committees, that we're representing the whole city and the best interest of the city.
You know, I think it's really important that, and it is something that I didn't want to talk about. That's why I put myself out there, because I do care about the industry. And then also, I understand the language. I mean, I've been around the city since 1982. I've worked in the government for 37 years. I meet with media folks all the time. So, I may not understand every word they're going to say about the technology, but I think the mayor will understand, I will understand. I really was trying to spare us from having somebody to come back and say, why did you do that? Because we're sitting at the table. And if you notice, I asked earlier, are they going to be at the table? And the answer is yes. So.
Councilor Rosati, did you have anything to add?
Well, the conversation's pointless if you're passing.
Well, I'm passing because I
you
know he
passing?
wants to do it.
Are you passing?
I'm letting him do it.
All right, then I don't want to drag this on. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want me to drag it on, I can, but it's just like, it's pointless. I think all of us, right, have had a concern about this industry. And at some point, all of us have talked about this. And I think we need to remove the word I and me and start with we and us. Us. So I think at some point, all of us have had identified that there's an issue going on. It was me a couple of years ago on the microphone, on the campaign trail. I know the mayors, every one of us has talked about this. So I think it should be us and we and not I and me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosati. Okay, so
I would like to move to put my name in for consideration. And before there's a second, I would like to say I think Councilmember Mullins is validly concerned. And I had considered this. I hadn't vocalized it because I didn't know how much other people were thinking or talking about this. I can do the work ahead of time to reach out, mend some bridges, like I said, because if you're hearing from it, then that means I know other people are also hearing about this. And if it's going to become a problem, I think it's my job to make that problem go away. If I caused it, then it's my fault. And so I'm hearing you. We've talked a lot about many issues over the years, and I know that you're coming from a place of concern, and that is real and that it is valid. And so I appreciate you saying that, and I will do the work to make sure that it is not a problem, because what we're working on, to Councilman Rosati's point, it's an us thing. And so thank you for bringing it up, because I had not put it into words and I had not vocalized it, and that's my fault. So that's my motion.
And if I may add, I want everyone at that table to be treated equally, whether they're a large employer or a small one or two members of the media industry. It means we're not going against the bigger guys because they're big and they don't deserve to have the rights heard as much as the little guy who's sitting in that room. Everyone needs the same equal treatment, because this is the only way we're going to move forward with this task force, whether the chamber is doing it or we're doing it. We need to be equal to everyone because we need them all, not just one. We need the little business as big as we need the big business.
I hear you.
And to that point, that is something that I think, to Councilor Rosati's point, let's be adults, that is something that the businesses themselves have been able to work out. We are seeing them come out of the strikes, and now we're seeing Warner Brothers and IATSE members sitting at the table together asking for the same things. The industry is coming together. And I think, I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilor Mullins. I got to tell you, I haven't thought about that since it was a while back for you. But if that's the work that needs to be done, I think you should reach out. I think you should mend those fences and have that conversation at some point. That's just my 2 cents outside of a vote. And I do think it's worth having, and we have this constructive criticism of each other every now and then. But to Councilmember Rosati's point, this is, whatever vote we take now, this is going to become a we. And we, if we're sitting on there, are representing the council at that table at all times. We're representing the city and nothing more.
More specifically, you're representing the direction from the council. Not whatever you say is what the council said. You're representing the official direction received from council.
Exactly, which is what I'm getting at.
The position we took here
Take here
tonight that we
tonight.
vote on, that's what we bring.
Yes.
Is there a second? He
He
made a yes.
motion at the beginning of his
Councilmember
Oscar
Anthony
speech.
made a motion.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes. Yeah. So to that point, this is a year-long process, and things could happen during the year that may bring up some consternation in the community. And can you commit to staying out of that and neutral and being, if you're going to stay on the task force, that you will not involve yourself in those disputes if they come up during the course of the time?
Wait. Be specific. I didn't understand what you said.
Yeah, so during the course of the year, we don't know what's going to come up in the entertainment industry, where there might be some disputes or some consternation or some problems. And I'm asking if that commitment is there to not involve yourself in those if that happens.
Yeah. So the mayor mentioned earlier that she hadn't thought about it for a while. I have. There have been other issues that have come up with other situations in the industry. But for the last probably 18 months, I have really been laser focused on what we're doing to get the industry back. Because what I saw happen after the strikes, what I saw happen after COVID, we've all seen it. It's been depressed. We're not even back to 60% of what we used to be. So yes, I can make that commitment. I have been making that commitment lately. Okay. I have tried not to get on anyone's bad side for a while now because, to Councilmember Rosati's point, it is coming together. It's about working to get this industry back to where it needs to be.
Great.
That's what you said. So.
Then if that's the case,
and if there is any variation from what we just heard today, this council will remove whoever is in violation of what was discussed. And I make it, and I hope it's in the minutes, it's on TV. There won't be excuses. There won't be, I don't know. This is serious. If we're walking down that path to take care of our media industry, there's no protest. There's no paper where we're going to start talking against every media industry in this city. We're going to need to work with them to help them, not to go against them. So I'm making it very clear because I have very good memory. I'll come back and, I'll bring it to your attention.
There will be a shiny video of you during public comment.
That's right on YouTube. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
With that said, I think we've all expressed our points. Let's not continue beating this drum. I think you have clear orders. Thank you, Councilmember Mullins, for ceding the spot. For what it's worth, I think you both are qualified to serve on there. No offense to your list. As are any of us on here. All right.
So I was going to make a second. So to that point, now that you responded, thank you, then I will second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Let's take a vote, please.
Councilmember Anthony?
Yes.
Councilmember Mullins?
Yes.
Councilmember Rosati?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Takahashi?
Yes.
And Mayor Perez?
Yes.
I appreciate it.
All right. So now we have a creative entertainment committee, the task force. It's late, and these folks have been going at it. We have our task force. We have folks who are very interested, and I leave it in staff's hands, in John's very capable hands. Please go out there and come out with something, and I will also be sending things your way from folks who reach out to us. And I do think all of council should send things your way from folks who reach out to us. All right, thank you. Let's get it started. Thank you, staff. All right. Moving on We will now hear council comments, including reporting on council committee assignments, attendance at conferences, regional meetings, and community events. Who would like to start? Councilmember Rosati, thank you for volunteering as always.
Wednesday, June 18th, I went to the police commission meeting. I'm done.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Takahashi.
Okay, sorry, I will not win the shortest commentary tonight. I'm sorry. On the 11th, I attended the National League of Cities Mayors and Council Members Roundtable. I attended Assemblymember Nick Schultz's mid-year bill and state budget update, virtual town hall, and I also attended a ribbon cutting and special tour of the new Circle, a women's membership club. On the 12th, I attended the ribbon cutting for 10-year anniversary of Jeddah Corporation. On the 13th, I attended the League of California Cities Community Service Committee, where we talked about disaster preparedness. The 15th, I attended the Club de Football Monterrey, get close there, adaptive sports community event. Club de Football Monterrey.
Club de Fútbol de Monterrey.
I have a French accent, I think, probably. And then the 16th, I attended the Sustainable Burbank Commission. 17th, Economic Valley Alliance Sustainability Think Tank at the cities in the Valley. I also attended the Tennis Academy for Down Syndrome at the Tennis Center event. That was awesome. The 18th, I attended the Know Your Rights and Protect Your Community event that was Assemblymember Nick Schultz hosted. The 21st, the Citizen and Jamboree with several other folks. And as well as later on, the YMCA block party and grand opening celebration of the Center for Community Wellbeing, which is exciting. And that's it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Takahashi.
I'm tired
the
just
French
reading
in
my
there.
list.
Councilor Anthony.
On the 16th, I went to DNA Sports Medicine and Wellness ribbon cutting for their 10th anniversary. The Saturday following, the Civitan Jamboree was very fun. Saw you all there. That was great. And yeah, later that day, the Burbank YMCA block party and grand opening celebration. That was very cool. Glad to see them back in full swing.
Yep.
Great. Councilor Mullins.
Thank you. June 11th, speaking of the film industry, I attended a roundtable discussion with a couple of the companies, entertainment companies here in the city of Burbank. And this, I did not attend this. And then the same evening, the Vice Mayor and I were there for the special tour of Circle, private women membership club. That opened up for women's, I would say, well-being, mental health, very great place, wish them luck. So we, both the Vice Mayor and myself were there touring the place. Wednesday the 18th, I had a couple of meetings with individuals who have applied for boards and commissions, as you all been getting a ton of emails, and so I've been having a lot of phone calls and meeting in person. Then yesterday, I met with Lori Blake from FSA to discuss some updated in her program. And later on, after that meeting, I met with Mr. Eddie Pallone from the Transportation Commission to discuss his interest in applying again for the position. And that was it.
Thank you, Councilor Mullins. Did you go? Oh, you already went. Oh, my God. Okay. All right. On Thursday, June 12th, I met with the Consul General to Los Angeles, General Paul Rennie from the British Consulate, who was very interested in our adaptive sports and in partnering with the city for the Paralympics. Then on Friday, June 13th, along with mayors across the region, I attended Mayor Bass's Civil Rights and Know Your Rights virtual briefing, where they talked about the ongoing ICE raids in LA and what constituencies across the region should know. On Sunday, June 15th, I attended the Club de Fútbol Monterrey adaptive sports event. I love the French pronunciation, though. That was beautiful. I cannot do the French pronunciation of anything. I rolled my R's much to my French teacher's chagrin. And it was a great event with the club, and really grateful to them and all of the sponsors there. And then on Monday, June 16th, speaking of soccer, along with city staff, Parks and Rec staff, we met with LA 10 Football Club to talk about their use of facilities here in the city and how we can get more soccer and more involved here in the city of Burbank. I also had calls with folks that day about their interest in sitting on their commissions. And if anybody has applied to a commission position, I'm happy to give you a 30-minute phone call. That's what I'm giving everybody so I can get to everybody. Tuesday, June 17th, I attended the grand opening and ribbon cutting for Crowned Barbers. It's on Magnolia. Very excited for them. Small family-owned business. They're very excited to be in Burbank. And gentlemen, if you need a cut, you know where to go. And that same day, I attended a tour of the Las Virgenes Potable Reuse Demonstration Facility. It was very exciting. I knew you'd be interested. It was actually very, very great. They'll take you on a tour of the facility itself. If you're interested, talk to Richard from BWP. He was wonderful in helping that move forward. You'll get to drink some potable water. Mm-hmm.
How does it taste?
Tastes really good, actually.
Okay.
And then, and they actually partner with some local pizza places, do dough and coffee shops, but it's very interesting. You'll learn all of that on the tour, and you'll get to see both sites that are very close to each other, and it's a great learning experience for what BWP is looking to bring to the city here. And then on Wednesday, on Saturday, June 21st, I attended the Civitan Jamboree with some of my colleagues on here and got to speak and introduce a couple of our winning trophies, including the Piper's Pals, which really glad for their participation all the time. On Monday, June 23rd, I met with Ms. Dillon, the president of the Saley Ma Foundation, a nonprofit that's helping seniors find housing. And then today, this afternoon, right before coming here, I met with the folks from the 911 TV series. I'm glad they came down because I told them we would be doing this tonight. They are very interested in filming in Burbank, have some questions and concerns from the film permit office, and I was able to address some of those on the call. Others are really things that we need for discussion, but I love hearing from them. I'm excited they want to film here and highlight our local businesses and our city. So that was my week. All right. Now is the time, in case anybody thinks I'm done moving. Now is the time for the introduction of additional agenda items. Do members have anything to introduce? Vice Mayor Takahashi.
2 items. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first item is to bring back consideration for council to send a letter of support to SB 805.
To the state legislature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Took it from me.
And then the second one is to bring back an agenda item to consider an ordinance to require anyone who uses weed removal tools like weed whackers or weed trimmers in fire zones to have fire extinguishers nearby, similar to the LA City ordinance. This is related to the fire that we just recently had.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilmember Anthony.
All right. Thank you. I'd like a first step report to send a letter to Senators Padilla, Schiff, and Congressmember Friedman, encouraging them to investigate the unconstitutionality of President Trump's use of military force on a sovereign nation over the weekend without the approval of Congress, specifically citing a violation of Article 1, Section 8, Congressional Powers of War. Just a letter.
Okay. Councilor Mullins.
So, thinking about that. This is city business related to commissions. I'd like to see if we can get a report to change the name of the commission, Landlord Tenant Commission, to call it Housing Provider Tenant Commission. It's Section 2-1-417. in the code. And wherever else the word is landlord to be changed to tenant, housing providers.
Any other items? Councilmember Zadi, you looked like you were reaching for the mic.
I was going to ask the city attorney, has the law changed in the use of the word landlord?
No, but they use various terms. In some statutes, it's owner of rental property. Quite often.
Okay.
All right. It's Mr. City Manager.
Okay, if that was all the additional agenda items, I just want to let you know that we will be starting to implement our new first step policy so next meeting. We'll have four a brief 10-minute item. So I just want to let you know that please, we'll during the pre-meeting we'll get you ready, but we will be using that new process. So just want to let you know.
Awesome. Thank you. And just seeing like the look of concern there, we'll be adding no other items.
Madam Mayor, and I'm assuming because this is a new process that we're going to be bringing up briefly, if it's possible to include if this is within the council goals, if it's not within the council goals, type of.
Yeah, again, there will be no staff report. What you said will be in the title, basically, of the agenda discussion, and you'll have an opportunity as the requester to talk a little bit about more, and everybody then can weigh in, and it will be a brief discussion, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I believe what we had originally said was within the council goals and also the level of priority, urgency, and the need for council action, because some of these things may not require that. All right. We now adjourn the meeting in memory of retired Burbank police officer and former Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena Airport Authority Commissioner, Don Brown. Thank you to him for his service, and thank you to his family for being here. Our condolences to you. We stand with you. Now we adjourn to Tuesday, July 15th, 2025, for a joint meeting in the council chamber, 275 East Olive Avenue, second floor. Thank you, Burbank, and good night.